Sorry, I was gonna do the gag, wasn't I? Okay, hold on. Phil was here yesterday. There we go. Mwahaha. If we're actually live, has it been successful? There we go. Yes. So, the question. Dum. Red. I can create actually mood lighting with this, can't I? If I just pull up just bright red. Ooh.
It works.
Oh dear. What if I just do this? I wonder if I can make a rainbow on my own face. Let's just put green. See, am I too dark, Stuart? The question for today's live: am I too dark?
Yes.
That's what we meant, didn't we?
You've gone too dark.
Gone too dark. Why is it getting full screen? I don't know. I just want. There we go. I've got some green. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Is Samuel too dark? Say in the comments below, because that's the real question of today's live. It's not really. That's what I was fed of, actually.
No, it looks good.
Hi,
anyway, guys, welcome back. We are here to talk about things as usual, as we do. Just have a discussion, get some opinions, get your thoughts, and kind of delve into this whole thing. Is the new Star Trek too dark compared to other iterations? And
well, I mean, the reason for even having a debate is because someone got euthanized murder saved in cold blood after having then murdered some people, to then be shown later on in the story to go ahead and murder more people completely in cold blood without any remorse. So mass murder, no other definition except murder, premeditated mass murder by a hero character who's meant to be a good guy. That's what we had last week, a good guy mass murdering people. So that's really why we're asking this question. It wasn't, there's too many lights or vibe. It's just mass murder is not really something we meant to endorse as Trek fans. And I don't think that, can we now root for Seven of Nine now she's a mass murderer?
Well, let's just throw this out there right off the hop. Worf killed Duras. Cold blood. Got reprimanded from Picard for it. So it's not like this is unprecedented.
Wasn't that also slightly political? Like the action doing so stopped a political war thing?
Yeah, but it was a personal thing that he killed him for.
It was, but it did have political benefits to the Federation, so they were probably less likely to be whatever. But also that is cultural. Klingons kill Klingons out of culture, so it's not the same thing.
Yes, I know. I understand the cultural thing, but still,
definitely wouldn't be murder to them. I'll say that would be, I don't necessarily think it's good. I'm never for killing.
I'm just saying that things like this are not unprecedented in Trek. So
yeah, and I really actually want to go through some old examples, even back from like the Cage, like to take a little history lesson and see what is even dark considered. Because the fact is, when the NX-01, right, fires torpedoes and destroys a Romulan vessel, say, they've just murdered 150 people. Doesn't matter they're on a ship that you can't rationalise with. They've just killed it, or a Suliban. Like they're killing people. What's the difference between Seven manually killing people to a ship killing a ship? I mean, they're still killing people.
Exactly, yeah.
It's in war.
Yep.
It's contextually different, but it's still, you see, you can't say they haven't, I mean, Balance of Terror. I mean, obviously that wasn't. They didn't pull the trigger, but they caused the death of the Romulan bird of prey. So, yeah, they killed the Romulans. And obviously, Kirk definitely killed the Klingons in Star Trek 3. I mean, you could say that was relatively cold-blooded murder, couldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
At least it was fire-blooded.
But we got some super chats. But I guess that's the time where you got to share now.
Well, read them out
share
first.
The video around.
Well, read it first.
Okay.
Yep.
Fat Produce puts in $10. I'm extremely off-put by the excessive and sadistic gore in this latest episode's opening. # no place in Trek. The Varian T Disruptor was a great way to be brutal, but not to be sadistically gratuitous in TNG. I the variant T disruptor was pretty cool. So yeah, I mean it's.
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, the variant T was designed to be extremely graphic for its time.
Brutal. Yeah.
That was the entire point. I mean, it was the most painful way you can die via phaser. Wasn't there a thing that the Dominion weapons, once they bzzed you, the way the energy attacked your cells, it was like more painful for some reason? Wasn't that a story point at one point?
Sounds familiar.
Like it wasn't.
Explode your cells from the inside or something.
It wasn't a clean fire. They actually
Yeah.
had like secondary effects, which were pretty like, what the hell are they? Well, it's because they're vicious. Jem'Hadar are vicious. It's not like, it's not a clean thing.
I think so. Eugene, though, 750 rubles. Thank you, Eugene.
Thank you.
Eddington's monologue about Federation being worse than
Ooh.
Borg was dark Star Trek, and it was rich, and it was excellent. Picard was dark as F, but it's cheap and not really much of a Star Trek. That's what I mean. I mean, this has been sprinkled all throughout Trek, this darkness. And somebody in one of the comments on Facebook said, haven't you guys watched Deep Space Nine? Yeah, we have. It's my favorite series, actually. And yeah, it is dark, but it's a different kind of dark. So I'm just getting kind of sick of the whole attitude out there.
Well,
You can't offer an opinion without getting attacked. So.
and we're doing this. This is a discussion piece. It's a question mark. We're not here to give an answer. We're here to discuss it, and that's really fun. That's why it's fun as a live chat video, because people get to bring up their, about this situation from this episode, and that's going to be really fun, I think, today. But Deep Space Nine, it was dark, but it was a dark in the sense the characters knew they were going to a dark place. They didn't want to go. It was never, this is life. This is, we hate what's happening to our world, to our society. This is wrong, but we have to deal with it because we're in war, and then we're waiting to get out of it. Picard is not like that. Picard is much more embracing of it as just being part of life. Like, we mass murder as part of life. This is happens. Whereas in DS9 there was always this sense of, like, obviously, Sisko, as the entire episode saying is okay with what he did. Like, that's the entire episode dedicated to, is the darkness okay? And his answer is no. But it had to be done.
Something I can live with, yeah.
Yeah. Like, he's saying, yes, I was the bad guy, but I did it for the right reasons. Like, it was just written in such a vibrant way. This is not so far.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Seven's mass murder feels a little bit more one-dimensional than a lot of those sort of dark moments. As does, as someone mentioned, Khan stringing people up, but he's also the villain. And we'll go get into those because there's plenty of dark. But a lot of it's contextual and yeah.
Yeah. Not a band account puts in $2. Not dark enough. We need to see more realism. Okay. I don't know how to answer that.
I mean, I'm all for realism. I'm totally fine with the eye gorge because it's contextual. It was to tell a visual scene. It depends how it's used, depends how it's written. It's all in the writing, how it's presented. I'd be fine if there was sex I said in the what's his name, the Quentin Tarantino. If it's contextual, if you did a Mirror Universe movie, then I wouldn't mind seeing people have sex and stab people. It's a Mirror Universe. There's a contextual reason for that. It's a thing within a thing, and if it tells a story and is a moment, that's important.
Tharaxis puts in 140 ZAR. Not sure what currency that is, but thank you.
Google. That is £7, so $10. Thank you. South African.
Awesome. Thank you. I think the method it's presented is a lot heavier and explicit than it was on TV, but the themes are no darker than a lot of things that TV explored in the past: torture, death, losing friends and family, etc. Yeah.
That's well said.
Yeah.
That's a good summary. Yeah. Yeah. It's also probably just like how much in one given moment, like one given scene, like if the whole thing feels dark, and like it was getting darker into a pool of darkness. Even DS9, you had these going back into the which is why when they're being happy to each other and Picard, it feels very out of character, very out of scene, because it's such a dark show to them be joking, it's like, where's that? What? Doesn't quite feel, they sort of call themselves into a thing. But Stuart, your things are out of focus. You're as if there's a thing on the lens. There we go. Beautiful. See, all the crystal clear HD. Zach has a great question for it, Chris Way.
Oh,
but was this all as dark as Janeway murdering Tuvix in Voyager?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was a very impactful episode. A lot of people have a lot of issues with that as well, and it was a moral question that doesn't have an easy answer, and that's one of the best things about Star Trek. Mm-hmm. And that was a whole episode based on making that decision, coming to that conclusion, not the first 5 minutes going, "Oh, yeah, you're suffering. Boom, sorry, bye."
Well, the message was the punchline. It wasn't the afterthought setup.
Yeah.
But I think the Tuvix thing, like she saved 2 people by killing 1. I mean, there's still math there. 2 people with histories, with experiences with family. Tuvix had no history, no family, no whatever. I mean, for me,
the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one.
I mean, it wouldn't be that hard of a choice. It'd suck, but it wouldn't be that hard of a choice.
Yeah.
But that's what they did in the end. So,
Ginkgo Yoki puts in $20.
Oh my god.
Says, having an opinion about something puts a target on someone's back. Targets whose arrows are to be disregarded. Here's something to buy the biggest target you can purchase. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the comment section on Facebook and stuff for these posts just went off the rails quite a few times today. It's just like, ugh. Yeah. And a lot of people thought, we are asking a question. We want to have a conversation with you guys, include you guys in the community, and have a discussion about it. And a lot of people thought that our title, which on the thumbnail there is Star Trek Too Dark Now in 2020? ? Was a, our point of view. And it's like, oh, well, haven't you watched Deep Space Nine? Don't you know anything about that? Relax.
We're
asking a question. We're going to have a discussion.
And also, they don't know who Trekyards is, so they ask us, have you not seen Deep Space Nine? You know what I mean? You're already invalidating
on the Trekyards Facebook page.
But they're already invalidating their question if they're saying, have we seen DS9? It's like, yes. We've spent 6 years doing a weekly Star Trek web series and all of our time and effort into a thing. Yes, we've seen one of the 6 TV shows. Thanks. Couple of times. I think it's a really interesting question, and already the people have had some great comments, and there's so much I want to talk about in the grand scheme of the show. Yeah. I will check the audio levels while you read the next super chat.
Sure. Fat Produce puts in $5. There's a big difference between depicting vaporizations, shootings, etc., and literally ripping someone's eyeball out in a gory fashion. There is, yes, and we've seen some pretty horrific things in other Trek as well, like huge gashes in people's necks and things like that. And I think the gory fashion of the eyeball gouging was, as Samuel said earlier, contextual for that scene. It worked. I thought it went a little too far. We can't hear you. You're muted, Samuel. Sorry. So I think it might have gone a little too far, especially that early in. But at the same time, we know what we've signed up for the show, so not really. I mean,
we've seen 2 people get literally blown apart, and we can see their skeletons get. They're pretty graphic deaths. But I think they didn't go as graphic as they even could have done.
No.
When the eyeball comes out, they could have had, not that it would have made sense, they could have blood dripping off it or mucus. It's very clean. It's very sterile. It's a bit, but it could have been like, they could have ripped it out and the whole eye becomes a gash. Really visceral. And it was like, it's quite clinical, I thought.
Yeah. Iron Sniper puts $5 in. Good name. Off topic, but who do I talk to find out why my posts in the Facebook group don't get posted? We message one of the admins and with your Facebook name, because I don't know what your Facebook name is based on your YouTube name, and they would let you know what has happened or if there's an issue or whatever. So that's what I would suggest. Could have been a misunderstanding. A lot of times we have a lot of people commenting all the time, so we got a great admin team that makes records of everything. So they would be able to let you know. So,
and Colin Barrett says, "Yes, I said this a few hours ago. If you don't like the world new Trek is set in, open your eyes and look around the real world. Star Trek has always been a reflection of the world as it is. Problem is, there was always a hopeful look at the future. That's what came first. I wouldn't call Voyager a reflection of the time it was made, or Enterprise. I think, yes, the Xindi arc was, but you can't say season 1 reflects the era. I don't think seasons 2 to 6 of TNG reflected the... I don't know how you're... DS9 maybe, but again, I don't... There are things reflected socially in it, but the shows themselves aren't like, look, the world's at peace, we're at peace. Look, the world's at war, we're at war. It's not that parallel. The optimistic future of Trek is so important. That is the core message of Trek, is that we all get together and be friends in the end. That is the core single message.
And the
it's always been there.
The perfect example of that is TOS. I mean, that was the 60s. You had the Cold War issues. You had troubles over in
that didn't
Vietnam.
reflect the Cold War, did it?
You had still segregation in a lot of places. You had a lot of issues, but on the Starship Enterprise, they'd fix that stuff. Yes, they mirrored that stuff in their storytelling, but not in the environment that the characters were in, because we had risen above that. Except for the Cold War with the Klingons, obviously that was a thing. But there was. People said that earlier too. Reflect the times, and I thought the same thing. Like the '60s, pretty crazy. But on Star Trek, on the Enterprise, everybody was getting along. They were fine. There was no characters bashing each other, and it's just they told the stories through different planets they visited, different cultures they visited, reflecting the times that the show was made in. Yes,
it was allegorical. It was allegorical storytelling, not literal.
Yes.
Because the Enterprise crew weren't racist, free love, hippie, sex people, or very governmental, or none of that was reflected in the people, the core people. They were good. They were utopian. It was the world around them. So no, I think your point is sort of missing the point of the shows a little bit. Enterprise, I think, is a good example of season 3, where it reflected the we all felt shit about 9/11, and after the initial we got attacked, there are no parallels. Islamic terrorists aren't aquatic people flying in water that are the strongest of their... the parallels end at the door. But we get the point of it. We get but it doesn't have to be direct parallels. And it's not as if the world was heavily drug addicted to... What was T'Pol representing? Well, just a good theme, just a good story, it's an interesting thing. It's not... So I don't,
Yeah.
It's the stories within it. I'm going to start sharing so you can... I'll still be listening because you're responding, but yeah.
Yes. Thoraxis, though, throws in 350 of the we're not used to seeing gore on a Trek show, Discovery notwithstanding. Even when the eyepiece was taken off the Borg cube, it was like, whoa, never seen that before. I think it's okay to make more realistic approach in that way within reason. Yes, I agree with that as well. The show is very much mirroring other shows of the time, not only in its serialized storytelling, but also the kind of gore. It's not a syndicated, made for network television show. It's a pay-per-view service, so they can go a little bit outside the box. They can't on TV seen by kids at 8 o'clock kind of thing. So that's what they're just using the format appropriately. There's that. So let's see. Matthew D.
And part of having gore, like Game of Thrones, it can get gratuitous, but also it sells a moment sometimes. Sometimes you just need to say fuck, because suddenly saying it can add so much emphasis. Or seeing a bullet. Sometimes, say a villain in a movie, if you have a bullet wound, so the hero shoots them, they're a really bad villain. There's no blood. It's just a shirt, and there's a little blood stain. Nothing. That says one thing. Or second version of the movie, the R-rated. Now his clothing is ripped. See the bullet wound. There's now a little bit of gushing blood. It's a bit visceral, and he's holding it like, ugh! Like one has an impact, one doesn't. It's gory, but it's completely sells a moment. It's everything in film is designed because you have to make it to be on screen. So those gory moments, they're specifically there to say or show or shock or do something. So Yeah, I mean,
Well,
why else? Why else when Riker got flung over the banister in best of in this Enterprise, the gash? I mean, that's to say, oh God, this is serious.
Yeah,
Like that was a perfectly thing done,
mm-hmm.
and it was contextual, and it was very gory, but it was completely appropriate. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For anything else though, 242 of you here. That is awesome. Hit the like button, guys, and yeah, let's get this discussion rolling. Jacob Tinknell says Trekyards opening sequence to first contact with the drill going into Picard's eye. That isn't hot gore for 1996. Well, it was a movie, and it didn't go into his eye. It just, as it touched the eye, that's when the scene stopped. So, no, that was not gory. Matthew DeFreitas, $5. People are so desensitized to violence that was one censored previously in some cases is considered a minor issue today. In my opinion, Picard is towing the line. Yeah, I mean, progressing with the times. I get it. Fat produce, $2. Hashtag eyeball gouging is my worst nightmare. A lot of people, when we did the Descent episode where Lore flips his nail back, were freaking out because it triggered them. So yeah.
Well, it's not great. It's not great.
No. Charles Williams, $5 Australian. Thank you. Star Trek 2020 is too dark. Makes me wonder whether the trip from the Delta Quadrant was worth it for 709. Now that we see what happened to her. Yeah, like I wanted something better for that character. I wanted to get with Chakotay. I wanted to be happy, have a family, maybe join Starfleet, whatever. But we've got what we got now. So I can argument, was the trip worth it? I don't know. Truby Howard puts in $5. It's not the images that are dark, but the message that they are making is. Not so much dark, just depressing. And it feels like a place I don't want to be. An old man just with nobody around me because I didn't have a family. Yeah.
Can I suggest something or ask you something then? Okay, I'll do it anyway.
Of course you can.
To the world of this new Star Trek, every single level is darker. Fair, rough statement.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If we saw the Starfleet, the Federation, if we'd seen like new, because of they use the idea of the news broadcast. If we'd seen news broadcasts throughout the current 5 episodes, seeing Starfleet doing good things still, like humanitarian exploration, like positive things, and we get reinforced that Starfleet is doing really great work still, then we get the Admiral, and she was fine with him. It was the Commodore that was bad, and then we get that sense of, oh, she's working for bad people. Then Picard goes out of the safety of the Federation into this renegade world, and then the graphics starts to come in. Would that have been all the framing narrative you need to give it all? Like, then it wouldn't be too dark. It'd just be we've moved into the realms of the darker world.
Yeah, exactly. It would have been better in my opinion. A lot of people have said, well, we've only seen this squeaky clean Starfleet all the time, so we don't know what life's like, elsewhere. But we get indications of what life's like on Earth. We've seen that a few times, and it's not quite. Yeah, they focus too much on the darkness in this, and not enough on, hey, this is Starfleet. Yeah, there's some shady shit going on, but it's from people that aren't necessarily Starfleet.
Well, it's the same as every other dodgy admiral. It's such a small minority, but when you show the head of Starfleet Security being mean to him for excessive reasons, like just being and she's written just to be a bitch, she's not getting the right motivation for that, you just see the head of Starfleet being a bad person, relatively speaking, and that's not a great thing. But it would have been kind of nice that then you'd have the contrast of good Starfleet still, but we have to go outside of that. In this universe, no one's good. Everything's got bad. He's just in the Federation spaces. There's no differentiation between one and the other. I think that would have really helped, actually.
Yeah, and even the references we've got to Starfleet have been really weird and vague. Like Raffi gets canned for no reason, although there probably is a reason, we just haven't seen it yet. Rios, his captain, was killed, and evidence of his ship was covered up by Starfleet. So everything we're hearing about Starfleet has just been negative. And that's not where we needed to start this adventure off. So
yeah, well, and not just that, but we've been told explicitly that the Federation is now more racist than it's ever been. basically, and it's like, what? Where is this coming from?
Yeah.
You know, so that tells us that the world is just worse. You know, this is the utopian world, and you need that at the very heart, because if we're not going to be better, then it's just like any other sci-fi. The unique selling point has been lost.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm. Well, not a band account throws in $5. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir Patrick Stewart, OBE, I don't know what that is, said this show is about Brexit and Trump. From the writer's perspective, this darkness shows Brexit's brutality and cruelty.
I don't think it's as parallel as it could have been.
No, it's not, and I expected worse, actually.
Yeah, I mean, who's Trump in this situation?
Nobody right now.
Yeah, what's Brexit yet? I mean, no one, nothing. I get thematically, but there's no direct parallels. It's not like, you know, the black and white and black race, which is so on the nose. Where's the Brexit parallel? I mean, it's actually being currently better than that. It's being, you know, that's the least of my worries in terms of is it too dark Trek-wise? At least they're handling that okay. You know. Yeah. And Medallion says, the show is meant to reflect our current times. Why? Why not tell a story and then have side notes of a modern time? Why have it be about that? And it'll date the show heavily. Like, this will be the show of this 5 years, and then it'll be like, wow, that was a very... Because Voyager's not dated in terms of, like, it could have been made... But it's just a, you know, TV show.
None of them are really dated when you think about it like that.
No, not even the 60s one, because it's about other races. It's like Babylon 5 is, they like throw every single political punch, every single racial punch, all of that, but it's timeless because it's like it comes around in cycles. Whereas if this would have been Trump and Brexit, especially considering both of those things are like 50% for, 50% against. So it's weird to have topics where the population is so split that half of my country would say, "Why the hell are you talking about Brexit in a negative way? What's wrong with you? It's a good thing." You know, in the olden days, it'd be less radically the same split, and there'd be an obvious right or wrong. But these topics are so like, you're obviously on a one-sided debate if you're on one side saying it's bad, and it might be bad, it might be good. But if you're that heavy-handed with it, it's like,
yeah. We do have some more super chats, but I want to read another comment real quick. Double Guitar says, don't get why everyone hates Picard now, and admirals have no respect for him. They did a bad job of making us understand what he's done that was so bad. Exactly, and we've talked about that a few times. I'm sure there are a ton of admirals that respect the fact that he saved Earth multiple times, but we never see that, unfortunately. I can feel a lot of people feeling betrayed by him, especially considering him and Admiral Clancy have a history, because he said we haven't always seen eye to eye. But yeah, you're absolutely right. We haven't seen anybody that kind of sticks up for him. And
you would think that a lot of admirals would take his side, because he said, I'm gonna help people. They said no. He said, if we don't help them, I'll resign. They said okay. So lots of people would say, damn, he was ballsy, he didn't bluff, he was willing to put his career on the line, what a brave guy, it didn't work, but he tried. I mean, I assume a lot of the admirals would be like, wow, would I be that strong? Would I throw my career bill to sacrifice it? It's what Picard did after that, or didn't do after that defines him. The bluff was well made, just he didn't read the room properly. I assume most people would be on his side. I mean... And why wouldn't admirals offer, okay, please, anyway, Admiral Picard, I know you're now forcibly retired, but please take my 7 ships in my little fleet group. There's so much story in between there that isn't been, you can't judge the story so far, unless that is all the story so far, because there must be so many things that happen in between that was not being given yet. I just didn't think about that and just moved on. But yeah, it's, yeah, Janeway at the very least would be instantly helping him and make a difference. Instantly,
Well, and we said that last week too about Icheb. The Janeway would move heaven and earth to find who killed Icheb.
Yep.
And it's been 13 years, and so what has been going on? And not just her, other people on Voyager as well, probably. So, assuming that they knew about it, but he was stationed on the USS Coleman, didn't come back. So, anyway.
Yep.
Hellrats96 puts in $5. Too dark. Let me put it this way. New Trek certainly isn't the optimistic future I was attracted to when I became a fan of the franchise.
It's true.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And actually, someone said this. Someone made a great point the other day that they got into Star Trek when they were a child because they loved the show. I don't know how many children are going to watch Picard and become a fan of Star Trek because of Picard.
No one. That's why they're making the kids show to counterbalance this darkness.
Sure, but it's not like it's a show obviously for fans, or it's not really made for fans. It's made for. I mean, it is, but it isn't. Well, it is made for fans, but it's made for fans with a very specific darker ideology at the core. Whereas, but Rick Berman wanted to keep a Gene Roddenberry. Like he was like, we must stick with Gene's vision, so he kept that at the core. But it's like this show is not going to make anybody become a Trek fan. I mean, maybe in the generic sense of, oh, it was okay TV, I'm a fan. Would you pay to go to a convention? Well, no. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Whereas Orville, what a great fan base that has gathered. It's just enjoyable on every level. It's nice to watch. It's fun to watch. And I'm looking forward to next season.
It's nice to turn on the TV and pick between the news or Star Trek and not have them be the exact same thing.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people want the escapism of Star Trek and turn it in, and they just get more depressed after their hard day at work. It's like, well, shit. I'm not going to watch that. And
that's the joke. You can still have escapism from 9/11 in Enterprise Season 3 because you get to have good, strong sci-fi, good character stuff. Like, it can still be escapism if it's a clever discussion that isn't exactly one-to-one. Because then investing in the characters in the world,
Yeah. Well, Thoraxis puts in more, 350.
Thank you.
Of those. I think I have to agree with what Shaban said, though, that the ideal version of humanity only existed within Starfleet and some parts of the Federation. However, once you were on the fringes or outside those structures, that ideal fell apart. And yeah, I 100% agree with that. But we haven't seen any of the optimism that should be there from main Starfleet, a couple scenes here and there.
And I wouldn't say fallen apart. It's more that if you live anywhere in the core places, you've got enough power to power replicators, you have shelter, food, water. You don't, you work for prestige in the Trek universe in the societies where everything's met. Respect is the currency. But as you go farther out, where the tech is less available and you have to work to earn credits, to earn replicator rations, then then it's less ideal because they just haven't got the everything's met. We can just live for society. So how many planets of the Federation do we see in TNG that are still in Federation space, roughly, and it's like, they got society, they're doing their own thing. And it would have been great. It would have been fun to see the contrast if you see the great core worlds, kind of like Firefly in a sense. Like they go to like Ariel, I think it's the planet. It's like, oh my god, this big planet. But every other episode is a desert, because that's the edges,
311 people here. That is awesome, guys. Hit the like button. Chime in with your thoughts. We want to discuss this.
Yeah.
You guys have been doing great so far, so thank you. Eugene, 250 rubles. Are we speaking about materialistic darkness, F-bombs, gore, and violence, or emotional darkness? Everything is evil, decadence, and moral corruption. Well, there's a bit of all of that in here. So pick your poison. Choose your darkness.
I mean, it's all of it combined, isn't it? It's when all the levels go up. Because
the thing is, each individual piece that's kind of too dark for somebody, like the swearing, whatever, it can all be removed, contextualized, and go, okay, that makes sense in that context. However, when it's all smashed together and that's all you're seeing,
without that Trek nugget of positivity,
yeah, it gets a little overwhelming, and I can see why people are not happy with it. Each thing that's kind of gone outside the realm of what we're used to can be, explained away as, yep, in that particular instance, it was perfectly fine. However, the next scene's the exact same thing.
Because for me, the show is not too dark so far. It's just a bit sad. But watching 7 of 9 beam down and massacre people, it's like if in DS9, Odo was given a phaser and just walks up to 3 Cardassians and shoots them in the head, and then walks away and kind of smiles. It's like, oh, wow. That was a bit dark. That's the thing. That's the first thing that I really latched onto as like, that takes a lot of justification for her to be a mass murderer now. Because she could have put them on stun. I mean, we've no idea. We know sense she didn't, but you know, as she said, shoot her way out. Well, it's also like as soon as they beam in the Romulans, they throw a knife at a guy's chest. It's pretty dark. You could have stunned him and then captured him.
Yeah. Hellrats 96 puts in $5.
Thank you.
I feel like Star Trek has lost its unique charm and just the holograms, the new Elcars, the sick bay on the Lyserina. It all feels very generic sci-fi, and I've seen it before. You know, Star Trek was always cool because it had something unique to offer. Things made sense. Things were visually like that's Star Trek. This, you could literally take some of those holograms, put them side by side with like The Expanse or whatever, show somebody that's not a huge sci-fi fan and go, do you see the difference here? And they'd be like, no, not really. You know, so it's lost its trekkiness, unfortunately. So yeah, I do agree with that. Squadra Course, $5.
Thank you.
Said it many times. Being dark isn't the problem. It's lack of light. Hope, goodness, doing good. Also breaks idea Federation is the good we can be. Yes.
Well said.
Which we've talked about. Yeah.
Yeah. But that said, we got those jovial scenes in this last episode, and they were, again, they would have been fine in the other episode, you know, when Picard's like, just be Elnor, and you're obviously winking at the audience, and Eldor's like, hey, look, I'm wearing this. It's like, oh, that's great. But do we really need that with Picard saying, I want to die, I was dying here, and then, all each other, you know, those, is like, it's not quite the same, it's like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Thoraxis, 140. Yep. Thank you. I think we're seeing Starfleet from the perspective of not being written within it, for once.
Yep.
From a layman's perspective, it looks like things are being covered up and no answers, and a coldness that you don't see when you're within it. From the outside looking in, yeah, I can kind of buy that. I just want some positivity, man.
That's why you need a Federation ship as the allegory of good, but also corruption, in the sense that you cut to them flying in a system near Picard, and they're doing good things, they're whatever, but they get orders by the bad admiral, but the captain doesn't want to follow them by the end of the season. You need that sort of like to follow the classical as well. That would have given some extra strength to it, I think.
No, I agree. Like, we need that kind of shining beacon in this show. And unfortunately, it's not Picard, which you would think it would be based on the name. Sure, he's just kind of swung around now from just waiting to die to, I have a mission. I'm going to die anyway because I got a thing in my parietal lobe. But hey, I'm going to go do this mission and save this person. So it's not the same kind of light that we need for the balance out the darkness, in my opinion anyway. It just seems kind of depressing and sad, and I don't like it. So
yeah, because even in Enterprise Season 3, which is an incredibly dark season, especially by the end, the characters are trying to find things to look to and for each other to kind of be positives.
Yeah.
I mean, was Season 3 of Enterprise too dark, Stuart?
No. It had its moments. It had its odd times where Archer went a little bit too dark, in my opinion. But it wasn't spread out over the course of the whole season. It was very compartmentalized, and it, had reasons for that incident. So, I mean, Star Trek Enterprise Season 3 was close to dark. Had a different darkness than DS9. But it still felt like Star Trek at the end of the day. This just doesn't. I think the lack of anything Starfleet, like the Starfleet uniforms, the Starfleet ship, I think all of that is also combined, kind of causing this feeling among people that it's not really feeling like Star Trek to them. So just give us some of the good stuff we want, guys. Star Trek ships.
But the fact, we now have the Orville as the we had DS9 and Voyager at the same time. DS9 was dark, character, gritty, long form. Voyager was positive, story based,
episodic,
alien, episodic, sci-fi techie, positive, and always about we're going to do the ideals of Federation. We're going to be good, and everyone stayed on a good straight and narrow despite hard times. You have them both together, and they balance each other out. One was one. I mean, DS9 is very much that right turn that there's like sometimes, and Voyager's very much clear cut, but it has some really good sci-fi. Maybe now you need Picard as the dark DS9 and Orville as the Voyager. Maybe you almost need both shows to balance each other out, because Orville is a much more Star Trek show than Picard, but Picard is much more DS9 in that it's not as good as DS9 by a long shot.
But look at all the CBS Star Trek offerings we have to look forward to. Discovery Season 3, where they're in the future, where the Federation is probably dismantled, so another depression there. Mm-hmm. We've also got, Section 31 show coming up. Oh, God,
that's dark.
So, but then on the flip side, we got Lower Decks, which will be totally opposite. It'll be funny, it'll be fun. And then some other stuff that might be coming about, too. So,
and you love how they reported 2 days ago that there'll be new Trek shows in the works. It said confirmed Picard, Pike's coming, and then if you read the news, if you read the article, it says our inside sources have both said it's probably coming next, and it's like, but that's the same as they've been saying that for a year and a half or 8 months. Until it's announced, you keep getting clickbait articles of saying it's probably coming. Logically, something will come about. I would guess a TV movie. That'd be what I would think they would do personally, as a way of getting a movie out. That's, I think, would be the smartest thing for them to do. But I just love how it's such a clickbait article that we don't do. We don't stay away from those.
Yeah. That English gent puts in £10 as an English gent would do.
Oh, brilliant.
I don't want to be that guy, but listening to people trying to explain the unnecessary darkness in modern Trek is sad. All flawed points that seem quite happy to ignore the good of what made Star Trek special. We're not, and I hope that's not directed at us specifically. We're just trying to cover all aspects of it, because everybody's got an opinion, and we like to just discuss it and have open it up to the broader audience. So, I would personally prefer being not as dark as it is. So,
but I think he's saying what made Star Trek special is its hopeful, optimistic future. That's what made it special. Look at Battlestar, not hopeful. Battle 5, not hopeful. Firefly, not hopeful. Dark Matter, not hopeful. You could list. Is there any other hopeful sci-fis? Eureka, but that's not. That's not the same. Star Trek's kind of the only one. Star Wars not hopeful. Sort of hopeful in some small ways. Star Trek was the hopeful one, was the positive, and Orville's definitely taken that up now.
And that English chant just said Trekyards not directed at you guys. No, so thank you, appreciate that. All right, Ginkgo Yoki puts in $5.
Hey,
Order of the British Empire. That's what OBE stood for. Okay, thank you. That's why he is a sir. Queen Elizabeth II gave it to him for cultural reasons in the performing arts. Yes.
And there's that great Photoshop picture of her holding a batleth over his shoulder.
And everybody's like, "Oh, it was so fun of her to play along with that." And it's like, no, it's photoshopped. Very well done, but no.
Whereas that one time, she did actually play along as playing the Queen in a short for the Olympics, where she meets James Bond and she's actually acting alongside Daniel Craig as James Bond. It's like, no, she's actually now the Queen's playing the Queen and playing along.
That's cool.
That was a good little shot. I know corgis are like heroes in it. I don't know.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is.
Benjamin Handelman, $5. Picard has Rios and Laris, so I'm not depressed. Laris.
That's the cheeky feckers.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Clearly, Elron, what's that name? Is that name? Elnor. Sorry. He's obviously comic relief. Jurati was. Now she's killed people. So actually, that's also why is it so dark. Because she flat out murders him, or at least lets him die in quite a gruesome way.
Yeah. She goes from the funny, quirky, awkward to, I'm gonna kill you. And now we can never look at her the same way when she reacts to something funny. It's like, well, fuck.
Well,
Here we go.
She's capable of the most dramatic thing possible, which is flat out killing, just allowing her her current boyfriend, you could say, lover, to die. It's pretty. But I keep going back to that moment right at the end, which is the screen cap, the thumbnail, where she's holding her hand, and within about 4 seconds, it goes from that into not expressing remorse. And I love that twist. It's like, no, that was the right thing to do. I love that as a little, like, ooh, that's meaty as an actress. That's good.
Yep. ISFG FJ
Adrian
1009. Sure, $5.
Adrian Dominguez, I think.
Oh, hello.
That is your face.
Similar situation to the Baku, sacrificing them for the work being done with the Sona. Clearly, some in Starfleet abandoned the Prime Directive.
Well, they are warp capable, so it doesn't apply to them. Just saying. Can't use that one. They're just common human decency at that point. Except they're not human, but...
The very name is racist.
Oh, threw it right in there. I mean, was the racism in Star Trek 3 too dark? Was when Chekhov said, "Guess who's coming to dinner"? Was that too dark?
Star Trek 6, not 3.
Sorry, was that too dark to see him be actively sort of racist? At least prejudice. I wouldn't call it racism, prejudice.
Yeah, it was pushing it for sure.
But also, it's the journey, the contrast, having them at the end save them and work together and all standing on the pedestal together, clearly thinking, Gorkon is enough of a thing to say the clones aren't all the same. Like, it's journey.
And that's the thing. We need to see the rest of this series. We need to see the next 5 episodes before we can get a broad overview of what happened, because it's very not episodic. So we need to get the whole story before we can really go into this discussion.
I mean, for example, you might have the Admiral, I don't know what her name is, if she eventually comes to rescue and ousts Commodore O, and goes all hero Federation, brings in a fleet, brings in a ship, has an epic moment, and we're like, oh damn, when she didn't believe him, she was a real B-word. But then when she actually had proof, instantly Federation ideals come in. Now that could be a good payoff. That could be a good build and payoff.
It would be a fantastic payoff.
Yeah, you're right, Picard. I'm not too big to say you're right. Well, thank you, Admiral. Now help me kick these Jet Vash drone ships that are Section 31 reuse assets. But
you were still wrong for bad-mouthing Starfleet on galactic-wide television.
Well, you were wrong for abandoning the rescue.
Well, you were wrong for
bluffing and not bluffing.
Exactly.
Because if you hadn't have bluffed, Picard would have given you more ships just a week later. No.
Ginkgo Yoki, $2. Like humor, a point can be made without cussing. Yes.
Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, a cleverly written script does not rely on the gore, does not rely on, like Game of Thrones season 1 is incredibly well written. It doesn't rely on the breasts, the violence, or the gore. Those are things that help tell the story in a very graphic, real way. But it doesn't rely on it. You could remove those and still be expertly written and crafted. Those are just things to show it's very grounded in real fiction. Like this is a world we can really relate to, and scintillating and get views. But it's not a crutch. It's not a crutch. It's an addition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just gaming for us, $5. If Seven has gone rogue, dark, murder, why isn't Starfleet after her? Because she's not. She's part of the Fenris Rangers. She's not really in their jurisdiction, I don't think. Plus, they don't really know that this just happened yet. So.
Yeah, I would say that she's out of jurisdiction. They don't know. This was a drug dealer person. I mean, this is a criminal, and she's part of a self-proclaimed vigilante group. They're already vigilantes, take the law into their hands, and Starfleet's choosing not to stop them because they haven't got the resources to stop them. And it's like the Marquis. They're like, oh, we can't. Because you would think in TNG, if Starfleet put all the resources, they could quelch the Marquis. They could find them all, capture them all, and yet they're around for 7 years doing things and terrorist attacks and such, because they just haven't got the resources to dedicate. Fenris Rangers are clearly they're doing their own thing, and Also, you're out of focus again.
God damn it!
There you go. Nice.
I want that Vaseline filter they used in the 60s on Kirk, so I look better. Eugene, 250 rubles. I would say that Girardi killing Maddox was dark for sure, but that was probably the only genuine dark, but well placed and executed moment in the show.
Yeah, it was a payoff.
I would agree.
It was a payoff.
However, as I said, with all the depression and everything stringing together into one long thing, it just gets a little bit heavy. It just feels oppressing to watch this show now. It's like, ugh.
Well, it's not just that.
Watch Picard and be depressed afterwards.
Well, it's not just that, but part of Enterprise Season 3 where it isn't too dark is because it builds slowly, surely. You see the devolution into madness. We don't know this woman. If she was one of the 3 main leads and we get a really good arc with her and then she kills him and that's one of the big twists, but just like Raffi, who has an emotional moment, it doesn't play what it should do because we don't know them properly.
Yeah.
Like, they are good scenes, they work fine, but they could have worked 50 times better in the correct time and place in your series. But Al has a great comment. Starfleet isn't after 7 because they let the Fenris Rangers do their thing, so Starfleet doesn't have to. Part guilt, part turning a blind eye. Well said. Mm-hmm. Well said. Mm-hmm.
Mr. Poshny, £10. Thank you very much.
Mr. Sir.
DS9. And as yes, it is darker, but the humanity of the characters like Sisko, etc., shines even brighter in that darkness. Picard so far has very little or no light in the darkness. Yes, I would totally agree with that. DS9 is also my favorite show, so I totally see what you're saying there. And yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, well, because DS9, they're fighting bad forces. And when they fight the bad forces from
good,
yeah, but they're objectively in the bad camp. When they fight the bad, Federation forces, it's a guy, an ideal, it gets quashed. But Starfleet's doing the right thing for the right reasons. And yeah, Jadzier's always good, Bashir's always good. They're good people, even if you see in situations. Whereas I don't think I don't know if Girardi's a good person. Clearly, she murdered a dude. I don't know if. Yeah, I'm sure. What's her name?
I think that was out of character for her, though. Honestly.
Yeah. What's her name? The XO.
Raffi.
Yeah, Raffi. Like, I don't know how far she's gone in the last. I don't think she's a great person anymore. I think she's slumped quite drastically down. Although now she's got back up in 3 episodes. But yeah, the shining note of the characters don't come through yet. Even Picard. I mean, he's also barely in it, really. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Lookout Tower Radio, £2.
Thank you.
The Orville Wolf's brother Bortus from Antherium, another mum. Oh, the Orville is Wolf's brother Bortus from another mum. Yes. Squadra Course puts in $2. Fan films and fiction are often more Trek than Trek. Yeah, because the fans know what they liked in the show, and they try to project that when they write something. And they like the canon references. They like the things that are important to them in Star Trek shine through in their writing. So yes.
Well, it's not just that, but when you only have so much money, time, and effort, and you can tell me one story as a fan film, and it's all this effort, like, you want to make a really Trek story. And often that's the good stuff, even the Romulan War, which I'm part of, which is about the war of it's a pretty devastating thing, a lot of darkness. There's such a good story behind that, although it's not really told from the perspectives of people so much as historical events. So it's kind of at one point I was forced to nuke a planet, just there's no upside there. I did I think 3 shots above a nuking montage, and it's like, great. Pretty dark. Starfleet, you nuked a planet with literal nukes. That's pretty dark, but there's a good story there. And the Romulan dude does show remorse, which is nice, but it's contextual remorse. It's like, I wish we didn't have to do that, but we did. And obviously Starfleet is like, that was a bad choice, but we had to do it. Yeah. Yeah.
Disagree. LOL. Making a video on this now. Ensign Ricky.
Sure.
I see him. I see him on other live chats all the time. You're going to have to tell me what you disagree with. We've
Yeah.
covered a lot of things, and
Well, I assumed, is Star Trek too dark now?
oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I'm looking forward to your video.
Yeah. I mean,
If you haven't subscribed to Ensign Ricky, go subscribe to him. He's a good guy, makes good videos.
You know what? I don't think Star Trek is too dark. I think just the balance has been broken. I think that's what it means. And if you think of how dark DS9 was in season 1, it earned its darkness through character. I mean, look how dark Nog got with his leg and such. But that was, if you break down how many episodes, how many hours of build to that, it was massive. You know, Picard has had none of the build, none of the, it hasn't earned any of its darkness. It's just throwing us in a depressing world. You can earn darkness. You know, it's like in Discovery, they earned the character from the moments, they earned all that fun stuff. You know, they earned the lady saying yum yum at killing somebody, at killing Control, which is yum at one point. It's like, what? Sure, they earned that. Yeah, whatever that was.
Yeah. And Brent Justice in the chat says, I make good videos also. Yes, I am subscribed to you now. So maybe go check out his videos. He got a lot of Picard videos, so you might want to go check it out, guys. We love helping people out.
Justice.
Brent Justice. That's such a great name, too.
Yeah. I will Google you now, sir.
But yeah, Brent Justice on YouTube. Check him out. Maybe check out his videos.
I like your simple logo.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Star Trek Online. Your first review video is just you on Star Trek Online set. That's funny.
Well, if you guys want to go check it out, we love helping out other creators and stuff, so go do it. Trace, $5. DS9 was dark but balanced with light-hearted episodes. Also, the darkness was usually tempered with introspective viewpoints, i.e. in the pale moonlight. Yes, absolutely. Plus, there was multiple shit going on with different characters per episode, which broke it up. A lot of times you'd have a very dark storyline and then a comical one with Quark, and then go back, and that was the B plot.
Wow. And actually,
in episodic form, it works perfectly.
And you've just said that. Think about how much they crammed into one episode of DS9, where they're A and a B. And think about how much
sometimes a C.
And think about how much they cram into one episode of Star Trek Picard.
Nothing.
Very little. It's really bizarre, but a great comment. It's hard work being bitter. Okay. Star Trek is too dark for 2020. 2020 is too dark. Star Trek tried being pleasant with Discovery. It didn't work for modern times. See, I think season 2 had the balance so much better. Pike was great. The having a strong, positive leader that represents Starfleet was a really important thing.
Yeah.
That made a massive difference to the show, and season 2 is infinitely better than season 1.
Easily, yes.
Yeah.
Truby Howard, $5. Thank you very much, Truby. To paraphrase the saying, I know Star Trek when I see it. I'm not really seeing it in New Trek. Yes. There's the ISFJ 1009 again. I don't know. I forget his name. $5. 7 could serve as a gun for hire for Starfleet or Section 31. Have gun will travel. I mean, Gene Roddenberry used to work on that, so there you go. But yeah, she absolutely could, especially Section 31, considering what she does now. It'd be easy, absolutely. There's Brent Justice. He sent us a super chat, so thank you, Brent. $5. The Federation always went out of their way to help planets from cataclysmic events. There is no way they would not help the Romulans. Plot is whack. Well, a lot of political pressure, especially from 14 different member worlds of the Federation threatening to drop out. So they haven't really explained it well enough to constitute the whackness. However, we have kind of talked about that after the events of the Dominion War with the alliance with the Romulans, the events of Nemesis, where you have a friend in the Romulan Senate today or whatever, and then the peace envoy led by Riker in the Titan on their way to Romulus. I would definitely tend to agree with you that the Federation would be willing to help them. I can see a few people very much a la Star Trek 6, saying, let them die. But yeah, we never really got that backstory filled in, unfortunately. I would like to see that, to see exactly what happens, but I can see some people being opposed to it. But yeah, overall, I think Starfleet would definitely be on top of things. And then they have their own little minor disaster at home, and that kind of preoccupies them. So I can't see them totally abandoning Romulus. I can see them sending what they could, but to just drop the ball completely doesn't make any sense.
I would be fine if, as they build, and again, there's been so little story presented that it's weird, because this might never be going into, if the Zhat Vash and just the Tal Show in general got so much power inside Starfleet that they were able to force the non-help of Starfleet. If there was a reason, like in a conspiracy, because they're alien aliens, there's a reason why all these things are happening, because aliens. If there's a reason why, or some other force, even if it's through fear or whatever, that's why Starfleet's not being like Starfleet, and that the story is partially to get that element out of Starfleet, so that then the positivity can come back.
Yeah.
Because if Starfleet doesn't have the good work it does, what does it have? It should never just be a peacekeeping organization. It should never be the Galactic Republic or the Empire. It should never just be the Force. It needs to be the positive. It needs to be the galaxy needs to look at Starfleet and say, yeah, cool, good guys.
Ensign Ricky, $5. To be honest, people just blank out all the gore and violence in old Trek. War, death, and gore. It was there. The UFP stopped being a utopia after DS9. I think the UFP stopped being a utopia after the events of the Gulf 359, honestly. Because that's when things started to tighten up, especially, and then the Cardassians stepped into the picture, and then, yes, the Dominion. There's a lot of things. And when we did our episode on the Galaxy class, we had mentioned that because they were, when the Galaxy class was created, it was a time of unprecedented peace for the Federation. They hadn't been any major conflicts. The Cardassian War was a few years old. It wasn't even that big of a deal. So they, a peace with the Klingons, the Romulans hadn't been heard from. It was just like, hey, we can, be all happy, go lucky. Let's go and explore. Let's get the families on board these ships. And then shit hit the fan. The Romulans came back. The Cardassians.
Oh yeah.
A lot of things happened, and their thinking changed. So we got the Sovereign class replacing the Galaxy class, more of a militaristic vessel. So
the Defiant was allowed to be commissioned.
Yes, which it was not allowed to before, because it got shut down because it was a warship, and they didn't want warships being built by the Federation. However, then the Wolf 359 happened, and guess what? We need one. So, yeah, a lot of things changed, but I think it was not even mid TNG, season 3, close to mid, but so I think that's when things started to take a turn.
And for me, apart from the whole racist thing against, we want to let Romulans die, can't see that, but a more militaristic, a less positive outlook, I can see that being a thing that happens, right? But you need that build. If 20 years have passed, Nemesis is just a continuation of Insurrection, continuation of First Contact, continuation of Voyager. We see Earth, and there isn't this big sense of it's the same old Earth, the positive Earth, right? That change hasn't happened yet, at least in the big sense. Now, if in 20 years things have happened and we've moved into that point, then you should have built flashbacks like Arrow, season 1 and such, where you tell parts of the backstory in flashback to help build this narrative, rather than just giving us a scenario and saying, accept this, your entire galaxy has changed. Why? 'Cause. Why wouldn't you have that as a narrative thread that could help build your universe? It seems so strange as a narrative. This story could have been told a lot better, a lot easier.
Yeah. We also have some PayPal, so I'll get to the other super chats in a second. Let's get some PayPal.
Guys, thanks for your voice heard. We really want to. It's a great discussion so far.
Yeah. Ian Warrender sends $10 and says, for me, it's about consistency. In the past, we overlooked that one episode was horror and the next comedy, and then the next played straight. With these 10 to 13 episode stories, the tone is more consistent, and as such, the darker tone's more noticeable than when Trek dipped into 2 to 3 times over a 24 episode season. And yeah, I think that goes back to what Ensign Ricky says. We tend to gloss over or ignore or forget the violent, horrific things we did see in other Trek, because yeah, usually when you had a dark episode, you had one that was kind of comical afterwards, and then yeah, more of a straight, you know. So yeah, the episodic nature of it, I think, glazes over a lot of that. Whereas with this consistent or the serialized storytelling in Picard, it's way more noticeable because it's every week you're seeing that or you're revisiting what just happened. So yes, I totally agree with you, Ian, on that. We got quite a few super chat or PayPals. Okay. Fleet Paw Swiftback puts in $5. Wow. He says, don't read this part. So I'm just going to. Okay, read this part. Okay. Paying for all the likes. I don't think it's too dark. Definitely way dark. People in the galaxy due to Romulus' destruction.
Oh, Stuart, you went away there. Sorry, hold on. You. Sorry.
Oh.
You said, this bit I can read. Sorry.
This part I can read. Read this part, it says. Paying for all the likes. I don't think it's too dark. Definitely way darker than we are used to. There's been a lot of upheaval in the galaxy due to Romulus' destruction and the Dominion War, possibly a couple of Borg attacks, etc. The crew isn't under the auspices of the United Federation of Planets, so I'll concede that we are likely to see a darker version of Star Trek. And yes, I agree with that. As we were just talking about with mid-run of TNG, things kind of took a turn. But yeah, it's just, I think it's the storytelling formula as well, the format with this serialized, that it really stands out.
And also, it's sad that they spent so much time to establish the world of Trek is a utopian, positive place. It's sad to think that as soon as we are one light year outside that, everyone becomes a dark, evil, murdering, depressed, drug-addicted world. It's like, if it's that fragile, then is that not saying that the entire utopian we all believe the world could be, the galaxy could be, was kind of a lie? Like in Equilibrium, everyone's taking a drug to be happy. It's like, well, yeah, it's all the drug of the Federation, in a sense. You know, oh, we're all buying into it, and we're not really happy, just think we're happy. It's like, no, but the point is, we've all evolved. We've all evolved out of racism. You know, in I said this before, but in TOS, they specifically, fake Abraham Lincoln gives a racial remark to Nahura, and she's like, I don't even get that word anymore. I mean, you're trying to give me context, but we're so beyond that, and so it's just. It's just weird. It's just weird because this is the world that should be and would want to be,
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Let's go back to the super chats now.
Thank you, guys. We love you.
Leighton puts in $5. Thank you. They have destroyed some of the basic tenets of the Trek future for no really good reasons.
Well, there might be good reasons. Wait and see. That's a problem with.
I don't think they necessarily destroy them. They just haven't shown them. They haven't shown the good aspects that could be there.
Well, no. Well, there is a good thing: the fact that you can replicate booze onto your control surface instantly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty great.
New holographic emitters everywhere.
Yeah. And you can program to do real booze easily.
Thoraxis, $350, which is $10 or so.
Thank you.
Thing that doesn't sit with me is the storytelling. DS9 did serialization. You had the overarching story that played out during the season, but still had self-contained episodes, which got a lot done. I don't know if serialized works for Trek, and I totally agree with that as well. That's one of the reasons that movie formula doesn't really work for Trek, because you need a big baddie to defeat, and there's got to be like end of the universe destruction. Otherwise, there's no real storytelling. It works in the odd instance where it's a longer episode, but when you have Captain Picard being an action hero for no good reason, it doesn't work.
And the joke is, Wrath of Khan, it is a big bad, but he was set up in the show. All the history about the character was in the show, so that works better. because he's basically as imagine like there was season 2 of TNG of TOS, and that the movie comes at the end of that. It's like, look, this is our big payoff movie. Like he was set up unwillingly, like without knowing, but which is a totally different bonus thing there. It was a payoff movie. That's why part of why it works so well. If it was just a random alien, it'd be like, oh, this is just a revenge story, but because we know exactly what happened, exactly the tone, it adds all those levels. That's why the First Contact also works so well, because the Borg Queen is a representation of everything Picard had to deal with. That's also a payoff villain. That might be why those two and Star Trek 6, same thing. Klingons, we've been dealing with them for how many years, and now TNG, that's a payoff villain. Actually, that's probably why they all work so well, especially because they're all like, they mean something. They really mean something,
Yeah. Well, my friend Andre Grindle is here. He says, Stuart and Samuel, you think there's a way among Trek creators to recreate an episodic format that maintains some aspects of Trek's utopian future? Absolutely there is. I think actually Discovery Season 2 did a pretty interesting job of maintaining a serialized arc, still having an episodic feel, and kind of ramping up the positivity. So I think Discovery Season 2, as much as people didn't like Discovery, I think Season 2 stepped it up. They stepped it up a few notches in a lot of ways. They would bookend the episodes by talking about the main overarching plot. They'd have the episode in the middle, and then other episodes would focus exclusively on the main plot, which is fine. But bringing Pike in, as you said earlier, was a great positive upswing, because you got somebody that's the very, very definition of Starfleet ideals at the helm.
Well, and
I think it worked.
And not just that, but speaking of, like, when we see the clip of Spock breaking the necks or shooting those people at the mental asylum, whatever, like, that could be too dark for Star Trek, but that was a setup. The payoff was that no, he didn't. He escaped peacefully by neck pinching people, and he escaped for good reasons. So you have the correct context of the dark thing, but it wasn't. That was the positive thing. He didn't do anything to hurt them. That was whatever. I guess they're murdered by Section 1 later, but that's relevant to what he did. They're baddies. We already know that. And even spoilers, Discovery Season 2, but yeah, they managed to do episodic and serialized, reasonably well balanced, because you had the episode where even to the point of a fault in a sense that when the Ba'ul, and then they completely ignore them the next episode, even though you're at the planet that the situation happened at, and you should be dealing with that, but oh no, it was finished. It's like, what? But you did have episodes where they're attacking Section 31 base. They are start and finish in the episode. When they do the Red Angel suit with the mum, start and finish in the same episode. So they were good with like single episode stories and an arc. Much better than this is being.
It's funny. Serialized aspect of TNG's, or just Star Trek in general, is interesting because TNG kind of references back to certain things as it goes along, which is fine. Enterprise did a fantastic job of what happened last week, because they're just leaving Earth. They're referencing everything they've just done, which is great. Voyager's shit awful at it. People die, come back, find out there's no afterlife, whatever. They're super depressed, and the next episode they're fine again. So Voyager really drops the ball in that, referencing back to its own past a lot of times. TNG, I think, started to do it more once we hit season 3 or 4, where they realized that they've changed the formula a little bit for the way they tell their stories, which is great. But I think Enterprise hit a home run with the way they tied all the episodes together into one cohesive story. Yet still maintaining the episodic nature.
Those are some really, really good points. You're opening my eyes on a few things. But for TNG, it was reset a week, but the galactic stage evolved. I mean, you look at the Klingon relationship from the start to the end. Gowron, Civil War, like that's heavily serialized, and you could watch the Klingon arc episodes with Duras and Worf and Worf's son. Like, if you watch those as one block, you'd think, oh, it was a fully serialized story over the course of. So that was very, very serialized. But the thing is, the Enterprise D was in a certain set of space, and it kind of moved around the same space a bit. Voyager, they were moving always past the thing from last week. it almost represented we're going to go into a new space and leave the past behind because we are going home. So thematically, it actually kind of works in its own unique way. Yes, the characters should have been affected by their own, that's absolutely, but the fact that they wanted to just go past it, symbolically it kind of works. DS9, they stayed in the mud of their own despair and shit.
Exactly.
They stayed still and did nothing. But TNG, they kept sort of going back to the same places, and that's actually really interesting. Wow, yeah, that's really. And Enterprise, obviously, they went forward, but it was a chain. Think of it as when they dropped the beacons to create the Dalmatians to talk back home. That everything has to be connected because you have to talk to home. You need this life preserver to stay okay in the deep dark. So you have to be connected to Earth somehow, and therefore you have to have the continuity of that journey. Wow, God, so much symbology. Damn, Stuart, love it.
All right, let's get back to the super chats, though. The anonymous user puts in $5. Even in TNG, Starfleet was always the ultimate good in the universe of Grey. Picard isn't about Starfleet; it's about civilians living the Grey. That's a very interesting way to put it. I never really considered that. Because you only get the what the Starfleet officers tell you in the other series, like, oh, we don't need money on Earth. You can be whatever you want to be, But you never really see much of it. I mean, you do get home occasionally, especially in Deep Space Nine with Sisko's dad and stuff, but you never really do get a feel for it. So yeah, I kind of like that we're in the gray now, the gray zone, the gray area. Yeah, wow, good super chat. Thank you, anonymous user. Eugene, 500 rubles. This is one of two, so there'll be another one. It's dark, but it's not Star Trek. It's all about deconstruction. You can have positive DC. What is this? You can have positive DC, split an idea in parts, analyze it, and reassemble it back, keeping the core intact and adding something to it. Okay. And then part 2 of that comment, another 500 rubles. Monty Python did that. DS9 did that for Star Trek. Knights of the Old Republic 2 did that for Star Wars. This is negative DC. Split it, keep superficial parts, throw the core away. Let's get you a generic, or its current year Timothy show. No Star Trek spirit. There's a lot of words there. I think I know kind of what you're saying, but didn't get all your references, so.
Do you want KOTOR tours?
Yeah, Knights of the Old Republic. I said that.
Oh, good.
That's the one Yeah. But anyway, we got a PayPal too. So I don't know if you want to comment on Eugene's thing there.
Let me reread it.
Yeah, no shit, eh? We do have another PayPal, so yeah. Deconstruction. DC equals deconstruction.
Yeah, I mean, Picard is far more surface level than those shows. And it doesn't know what it wants to be. It's throwing, as we did a whole episode on all of their outstanding plot threads. They've thrown stuff at the wall and seen what is going to stick. And then, episode 5, they went with one story, which therefore forgets everything else. And it's far, I like most because it's focused at least. But then all the side things that could be building the universe are all completely thrown to the wayside because obviously you're doing one story. But you've got all this stuff now hanging over it, and it's like, what? They should have focused down. They should have really, all the minutes of all these subplots, they should have, because they don't feel like they're going to go anywhere, a lot of them. They should have just spent more time constructing a really good season, make them at least 50 minutes each, minimum, have less stories, or at least have like the first 4 focus on this part. The first 4 is the we need to find Maddox storyline. We won't even introduce Soji. She'll be a payoff, a setup, and then a payoff. Later on, then you introduce the cube, and then you have like season break points rather than having a big mix, a jumble of things, and you see what sticks, and then and they might have changed it as they went, saying, oh well, we like this actor more, we'll use more of them. That's why I think the season needs a full re-edit. I think you can make something really great if you re-edit it I'm not sure how exactly, but yeah.
Love to see a re-edit of it. But Jarzia throws in a PayPal of $15. Thank you very much. It says the difference is in presentation. In Picard, it's socially acceptable to devalue and write off hundreds of millions of lives publicly just because you're Romulan, while in TNG, the crew goes out of their way to save a Romulan spy working against them. Having internal darkness that the protagonists work against is fine, like the Dominion, and even then, it went back black and white. There you were, Jem'Hadar. You sympathize with Goran Augur and Ramataklan. I don't know. I don't mind the heroes or even the whole Federation being placed in desperate circumstances as long as they remember who they are and what they stand for at the end of the day. When the darkness was internal in old Trek, like the O'Brien's racism, it was something that was seen like O'Brien's racism. It was something that was seen as a failing and something their friends, family helped to recognize and change. O'Brien said of a 12-year-old boy, Rugal, that Gentle was bred out of these Cardassians a long time ago. He didn't choose to be a racist. He didn't think he was. And when Keiko called him out on it, he didn't like that part of himself. And in the next scene, reached out to Rugal as a person, not a Cardassian. Holy Jarzia. There's still a little bit more here. He even said you can't judge an entire species in season 3. Archer resorted to torture and piracy, and however necessary it was, he isolated himself when he got back because he hated having gone that far. He felt like in going that far, he lost what made him the explorer he always dreamed of being. Kirk had to confront his hatred of Klingons in Star Trek VI and realize that not all of them are animals like Krug. He realized Gorkon and Azet Bor, and likely many other Klingons, had more in common with humans than he ever gave them credit for. Kira had to confront her hatred of Cardassians over the course of DS9, especially Duet. And if anyone has a reason to hate a whole species, it's Kira and the Bajorans. Even Quark came to realize he couldn't turn a blind eye to people being hurt just for his own profit, like in business as usual. The common theme is that people in Trek always tried to be better, to overcome the darkness inside them. In modern Trek, most people seem to revel in their darkness. Almost done. When most of the audience have higher ethical standards than people from the supposedly more evolved future culture, it's just not Star Trek anymore.
Well, and the fact that 7 of 9 says in her last scene, well, we've got to let them have hope because I sure ain't good anymore. Like, she's just solidly bad at that point. There's no remorse. There's no sense of, well, it's not the right. Like, she's committed, and she had a chance to not go back. She had to do a double take. She got out. She made the choice to go back in. So now 7's a villain. In essence, 7 now a bad character or a bad
Every
guy.
time I get out, they pull me back in.
Yeah. Whereas it would have been nice if we'd seen like a shot of her at the end of the episode, like warping away, and like sit in her cockpit and just start crying.
Yes.
Just no dialogue, just crying, and then cut away to Picard, because she hated that, and that's
necessary evil though.
And and that would have been great, but 7's now a bad guy, unfortunately, or at least as much as Batman breaks people's legs for the truth. Hello, you know something about a crime that I can save people for. Boom, your lung's punctured. Tell me now. Oh no, boom, your back's broken. But hey, you're partially a bad guy. I'm a good guy. I've broken 9 of your ribs. I'm a good guy. So is that kind of...
I won't kill you, but I'll leave you with a crippling injury that'll affect you for the rest of your life, because F you. Yeah.
Yeah. But obviously, she disintegrated Vajazzle, so I'll never come back from that.
Yeah, well, Fear Invictus puts in $2.
Hey, Hammer.
Hope has nearly canceled every Trek show. Who's Hope? I don't like her. I don't like the person.
What do you mean exactly?
I'm not sure.
Because they're all cancelled for, like, I don't think of being literal because they're all cancelled for either ratings or we have another show or the studio said no or, you know.
Or they had their run, which they projected run of like whatever.
Yeah, that's a confusing statement, but thanks.
Yes. Let's see. Tangerine Star 26 puts in £2.
Thank you.
Are the days of 25 episode series development arcs dead? Yep. Sadly. Maybe on like network television, it still might be a thing occasionally, but not on these pay-per-view services.
What they've done is they've upped the budget and shrunk the running order. You know, we need to pay. We have to look as good as the movies, and that takes the money. So we can't make 26. We'd rather make 10 than 26 or 13 than 26. Whereas in the olden day, it was more about money put onto practical sets and makeup, and that could stretch further than now. If you have to build all these VFX sequences, you know, all of this is these 9 minutes are 100% digital, and that took 1/10 of the budget for this episode. Well, there you go. They stop right, but they've got to write these big epic things. It's balance. You know, I think Stargate Atlantis did a good job. They still had full seasons with a lot of amazing CG, a lot of great sets, a lot of great acting. I think that's one of the last few, long form, and they benefited hugely from that. It's a shame. And like Doctor Who, only 10 episodes or 13 or whatever. I think it's 10. As soon as you're into it, not that the season's been great, it's almost done. Even 13, you kind of have. And Discovery was only 13 the first season one because they failed so miserably when they reshuffled it. They had to commission millions more so they could actually finish the story properly, and they didn't. They had to cluster F to put something together. So the reason they had more was to have less.
Yeah. Well, Anti-Trekker's here.
Hey.
All hail the Anti-Trekker.
Woo!
Oh, I bow before the turd. $5 he throws in, which is odd because he's cheap and doesn't like to spend money. But thank you, we appreciate it. The problem is not dark. DS9 went dark. Voyager went dark. The problem is
nihilism.
Yes, which is the rejection of religion and moral principles and all that jazz.
Well, more moral than religion, but yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know if Voyager necessarily went dark, but
on time.
I mean, Voyager's interesting because, like, Year of Hell, the point is Janeway kept her humanity all the way until the last minute. That was an example of true Starfleet crew doing, that was the darkest episode they ever made, and that crew was still Starfleet the entire way.
Yep.
That was an example of ideals trumping situation and them being really good people for what that's worth.
Look at Equinox, though.
Exactly.
Same thing.
The opposite.
Went dark, but didn't really hold on to the Federation ideals.
Yep.
So, Voyager did go dark quite a few times, for sure. So
and was Equinox too dark? I mean, it was more of a mirror into what could have been. Although I think it's worth pointing out that Equinox had a really shitty time there. I mean, it was like every single week, every single day in their existence, it was a fight for survival, and that is a different situation than what you can do and not do. But I wouldn't think that, and this is my, see if you agree, once they worked out how to fuel their ship with the aliens, I don't think the crew devolved into being anti-Federation in every respect. I think they just did that one thing, they crossed that line, but they were still a Federation crew. They just said, oh, but this one thing's okay because it'll save us. But I don't think
the means.
Yeah, but I don't think they suddenly became a renegade bounty hunter mercenary crew. I think they were still like Starfleet as much as they could be.
Yes.
Until obviously they were getting killed en masse by the aliens, but
But deep down, they know that they violated that core moral, ethical ideal of Starfleet, and I think it jaded them for all other things.
But that's also the point of that story. Rudy Ransom, at the end said, "No, this was wrong." You need those moral turns because he realized he was wrong, or at least he was doing bad things. He still saved his crew, and that's normally enough to justify things. Those episodes are great. I mean, watch them. And obviously Janeway, she went pretty damn dark. She was going to let number 4 from BSG, the actor, get brutally, painfully killed by aliens. Is that too dark? Yeah. It's really dark, and everyone calls her out on it. And the scene's horrible. It's hard to watch, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I just want to do a call out for Anti-Trekker. He's going to have Manu Entereme, who played Ichep on Voyager, on his live stream at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday morning. So if you guys are interested, 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Thursday morning, Anti-Trekker channel. If you're not subscribed to Anti-Trekker, go subscribe and check that out. Yeah. So there you go. You'll have,
that's awesome.
Original Icheb on, and yeah.
Good for him.
All right. So Ginkgo Yoki puts in $5. Voyager Equinox. Wasn't Janeway willing to kill an Equinox crew member to get information to protect Voyager? Janeway released him. Talk about Dark. Yeah. I think you would put that comment in before we even started talking about Equinox. But yeah, like they definitely did step close, if not over, that darkness line a lot in regular Trek as well, like former Treks. So, Zeraxis throws in $5. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think a big problem they have with Picard and Discovery is that the writers write the universe to fit the story rather than the story to fit the universe. I would tend to agree, honestly. I mean, Samuel's always said, you can write, it just has to be a good story. Just use the elements that are in the universe properly. I agree.
I mean, it's a different universe, though, and they have creative license to make it whatever they want. But I don't get the sense they really broke it down as much as we would have. Because if first day in the meeting room should be, right, we know we want to do a synth story, we know we want to do this Data Door storyline, great. Well, what's the political situation? Well, Romulus was destroyed, okay, great. Not great, but let's break down all the major races. Let's work out a political situation realistically, and not realistically, but go dark, because obviously you can think the best of people that, okay, Romulans and Federation made peace, we now have shared colonies, great, but there are bad elements in them. Or you can say, oh, it was terrible, racism, and the Federation said, fuck you to Romulans, and they left, and it's like, wow, you went the worst possible way with that. And it caused no more good quality drama, it just made the whole universe dark.
Murray Nathan, though, throws in $2 with no comment, but thank you very much. All right, so we're actually through all of our super chats and stuff now. You guys have been great this live. This is really a great discussion and conversation, so thank you guys for coming. 303 of you still here. If you haven't hit that like button, hit the like button. Let's get the likes up. And I'd like to thank you guys for coming and joining us and just participating in this, because it has been a great one. Eugene, 250 rubles. Ahem. First day would probably be like, what is Romulus?
Well, no, because Kurtzman's there. He's like, you know that planet I killed? Remus. Remus, right? Yeah. What?
The Romanness.
I just saw an interview with Harrison Ford promoting his new CGI dog movie, and the interview asked him about Star Wars, which is never a good thing with him, but he's like, it's about the I know line in Empire, and he's talking about it, and he says, well, they're about to put my character in kryptonite, and it would mean that I get, and the guy's like, carbonite. He's like, what? Oh, I know, I just work there.
Yeah.
It's after how many years? 30, 40 years, and he doesn't know the name of the thing that defined his character's but he doesn't care. And he's an actor first and foremost. But that's just funny. I mean, I know he said carbonite lots of the times. It's not as if he doesn't know it, but to say kryptonite is quite special as caught on camera, because this is like that's funny.
Ryan Howe puts in $5 Canadian. Picard himself still seems to hold evolved human ideas. Like that's kind of a point on why he left Starfleet. Yes, because he would do what was right regardless.
And yet he gave up, moved back to a chateau, and waited to die.
Oh, when he gives up, he goes full on.
It's true. It's true. And that's why we need to see the connective tissue, because there is no connective between. Oh, that failed. I guess I'm going to go retire now. But what about the mission?
Don't care.
I'm not Nam anymore. Why do I care? But you care your principles. I mean, I'm retired. Therefore, my boss. So he does and he doesn't. There's something there. There's something in between. Because if he did give up, then he's clearly lost those ideals. But he should represent them. That would, he should be the beacon of light in it. But a beacon of light can go dark. I mean, we love the scene where he and Seven say, did you have your humanity back? Not all of it. That's a dark, dark moment. But it's so ripe with contextual, and that's a good, go from one tone to another,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leighton throws in $10.
Oh, wow, thank you.
They killed off the character 709. Her whole story arc was her regaining her humanity. She doesn't bring the criminal to justice. She just blows her head off. What would Janeway say? Revenge. Yeah, what would Janeway say? What would the Doctor say? What would anybody say? It's funny because now you can't watch Voyager and not have this in your head as what happens to her.
That her journey failed.
Yeah, essentially.
It's like a drug addict that you've known, and then 10 years after they quit, they go back in hard. It's like, oh, damn, that was a shame. And that's why I keep saying, going to the future is always risky because you can hurt characters, you can retroactively hurt them. If we learned that Picard bitch slapped a prostitute who was a male Bolian with 9 penises. And then he killed him after for the money to buy coke because he was an addict since he was a child and he never knew. It's like, that would hurt the character. You could never watch the show again.
I think?
Yeah. So Seven's journey is worthless now. For the most part, it failed. Now, if the scene had played out that she shot her, you assume dead, scene cuts, and then you cut to later on. Because you wouldn't know stun or kill, wouldn't you? They just keep shooting pew pew. So if she shoots her, even with 5 stun blasts because she's mad, she double barrel shoots her, cut to dark, you see Picard, and then at the end you see her in her flying ship. She's crying because of sucky day, and then pans down and then the lady, Vajazel's on the floor tied up, and she says, "Fenris Rangers, I'm bringing her in." That's a better payoff.
That would have been perfect payoff.
Better payoff. Because the thing is, she hates her not for killing Nietzsche, but the fact she's selling Borg parts and she's doing bad things, she was betraying. The Rangers would want justice. I wouldn't even care, right, if she, after just stunning her, breaks her nose or punches her in the face so hard it shatters her, cheek. Okay, she can be vindictive little sod. They often are in shows, but as long as the end justice is there, okay, you got frustration, that would have been a much better payoff.
Yep.
Or if you think she killed her and then 5 episodes she comes back for Jazel, because I couldn't kill her in the end. I hurt her badly, but I didn't kill her. That's important.
Yeah, that would have been fine. Ginkgo Yoki, $2. TOS Obsession. Kirk was pretty dark. Not really. I mean, for the 60s, maybe, but Obsession is the one with the cloud that killed everybody on the Farragut, and yeah.
Well, I mean, TOS, they do a lot of dramatic things, really.
Yeah, they do. Absolutely, they do.
Kirk, attacking Spock on a mock time is kind of dark. The way he does it, the way it's that vicious. The mirror stuff's kind of dark. The fact that he's just, the fact there's a button that murders people, that's pretty dark.
And Travis, doesn't murder people, it just makes them disappear. You don't know where they are. Travis Foster, though, says, Samuel, it's Vajazel, not Vajazel. He knows that. He's just being an asshole.
Because I was saying Vajazel, but I remembered her name was Vajazel, so I was saying Vajazel. I'm slowly getting to her real name, but I'm evolving it. Now it's Vajazel. It's closer. And I'll get to a real name.
Paul B says it's pronounced Vajayjay.
There you go.
Zeraxis, $5.
Thank you, dude. You're doing awesome.
To be honest, I think the shows have a bit of identity crisis tone, changes a lot. So we get episodes like the Discovery pilot episode and episode 5 of Picard.
Yeah, I would agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you wonder at what point do they think, we need to tweak some things,
Yeah. Mr. Pete channel is 75% away to the big time. Puts in $5. It says Romulans got what they deserve. 2,000 years. Romulans got what they deserve. 2,000 plus years of slavery and war over. They only fought the Dominion half-heartedly anyway. Beware of Romulans bearing gifts. Yeah.
I mean, I like that's interesting with the whole slavery thing, because yeah, they're enslaving Remans.
Yep.
That's actually, I didn't even consider that fully. That's interesting. Yeah.
Sturm vom Alk. Great name. $5. Do you think Riker and Troy are dead and their appearance will be a dream or holodeck scene? Concerned we haven't seen them yet. No, they're going to be alive and well, and they're going to probably not be on Earth, though. I'm calling maybe not Earth.
Well, it has to be not Earth, because that would be a really weird, like, back forth. I mean, if you're in that much of a hurry, why go back to Earth?
Well, no, they're going to go to the Borg cube next episode, get Soji, and then go back to Earth. So it might be episode 8 or 9 where they're back. That's when I think it's going to happen, and then it's going to lead into season 2. Might even be episode 10 where we see them, where it's like, thank you, for not making me or not telling me to change my mind. Well, I know you better than that, John Luke. That'll lead into season 2 of what season 2 is going to be about.
Because I heard they're in the next one, but that might just be.
Are you serious?
Yeah, well, which is why I'm confused. Like Marina Sirtis said at the recent TrekCon, saying they were next. But I mean, why would you necessarily know? So maybe not. I don't think it makes sense either. I agree. Especially if they've got Soji and they bring her with them, and yeah. But Masked Game has a good point, because I love people countering us. I love these discussions. Mm-hmm. My problem with the whole discussion about Seven is, why the hell can't she fail? Isn't it the most human thing to get overwhelmed by emotions?
100%, and that's happened a few times in the course of Voyager with her character, but Ichep was like a son to her as well. So I mean, that's like the most extreme that you can get for that. So it does make sense to fail as long as she redeems herself some other way now, or shows, as you even said, if she showed some kind of remorse after the fact, or just the relief, the gush of emotion that comes out afterwards, that Ichep's gone and I've just done this thing, but it's done. So we need something else. What
they should have done is, and there might have been a very subtle hint to this, but what they should have done is the emotional side. Okay, sure. Although more times than not in Trek, the point is that they get to the edge and they say no. Very rarely do they go over the edge. Even Sisko didn't know he was doing what he was doing. He just chose to stay quiet. He didn't know he was going over the edge, but once he was already there, he was like, "Well, shit, okay." If there was like a close up of Seven's phases after she murders Vajazel, and she clicks some buttons, remember I talked on our episode that there's like a slider. If it's set to kill and she slides it down to stun and then starts shooting, make it clear she only kills the vengeance person, but she leaves everyone else alive. That distinction would play to me as, okay, the emotions were there, but she's not going on a murder spree. The way it plays is that she kills everyone in her service. All the random guards with families, with whatever. She just murders everyone because she has to get out. There's no plan there, it's just murder. So what do you think? She just moved it to stun as a small thing.
It's something that I think would make the scene actually more impactful, and yes, redeem her character at the same time, because she gave into the revenge aspect of it, but is not going to just go on a murder spree, essentially.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have minded that, actually. Something like that would have been fine.
Or at least better. And it would have been nice if they started shooting, she'd duck behind cover, and took the time to turn the weapons to stun. Like, she's risking her own escape by making sure she doesn't kill them. Like, that's it takes a few seconds to do, and they're surrounding her, and then she has to escape. Like, that would have been a character moment, Damn it, Picard, I'm not gonna sink to these levels. Yeah.
All right, so Eugene. Wait a minute. 7 needs Michael Mooney. Did I read Michael Mooney's 2 pounds? Did 7 need to be seen killing people? I think that's what we were just talking about, right?
But you didn't read that yet.
Oh, well, there we go. We just kind of summed it up. Not necessary, but I mean, we might get a story of how she escaped later. I think she's going to be back for sure. So we'll see. We'll have to wait and see what comes up. But
I mean, I said to you before, I hope she's one of the primaries from now on. I wouldn't be opposed to having the one episode of her away, and then Picard has to call her, and she's like, "Wow, Picard, twice in 2 weeks. Damn, Picard." Yeah.
You don't sound like 7, by the way.
She doesn't either. She's got her accent. She's got a twang. Go back and watch them side by side. It's really distinct. It's all American now.
Eugene, 250 rubles. Well, what would Janeway do? I know she would say, 7, give me your phaser. You're not that kind of person. I am that kind of person. Shoots Bajingo in the head. Bajingo?
Here's what I found.
Bajazel.
Oh, what did they find?
Jerry Ryan has 7 of 9. IMDb. Star Trek Voyager. Hope and Fear. It actually found something. Good job.
From Bajingle.
Thank you.
Well, actually, that's an interesting question. So, let's go back for a second to Voyager. Say season 7, right? Say the Borg, by example. Say a Herodian had killed Icheb in a scene, right? That was part of season 7. It's a really dramatic scene. What do you think 7 and 9 season 7 would have done? And what do you think the crew would have done? So say Icheb was captured, the Delta was captured, he was murdered, or he was... No, I guess he'd have to have been captured and 7 killed. I'm not sure how... Let's just say just killed. Just killed by the Herodian. What do you think that crew would do in response? In season 7.
I think you might get the very, very same thing going on with 7, trying to get revenge, and... Actually, I think it would end pretty much the same as the Duras incident with Worf. She would get the advice from everybody, Chakotay, Janeway, and then... honestly, I don't know. I could see her actually doing it, though, and kind of getting the "I'm disappointed" speech from Janeway.
The problem is that when you get one-on-one, it becomes something very different. You have to look in the person's eyes as you murder them. As you're saying that, I could see the episode panning out that they've killed Icheb, that the Herodian fight back, and they are, ready for my air quotes, forced to destroy the ship. Because the Herodian are shooting back. Like, oh, it was in self-defense, I'm killing the entire crew. You just killed the entire crew. Same effect, and they wouldn't have the same. None of them, and we wouldn't even have the same effect of wow, they murdered the entire crew. No, because it was in self-defense. It's the same thing. Yeah. It was the same basic thing, and that's interesting. That I mean, thinking that might happen in season 7.
Another thing I just thought of for some reason. Let's not forget the TNG episode, "The Most Toys" or whatever, where Data fires that phaser just at that moment. Data was also one that could be committing murder, essentially.
That was so good, though.
Yeah.
That was such an earn. But that thing is, that was the entire episode was literally building for that 1 second. That was the payoff for the episode, pretty much.
Yep.
And I wonder if in Data's mind, because he committed to kill, he killed. In essence. Because it wasn't up to him that he didn't. He was fully committed. Although, if you think about it, the time between shoot and phase beam was like a split second. It's not as if, it was like, wow, instant timing. But for all intents and purposes, he chose to be a murderer and the revenge. And that was just for a lady he barely knew. I mean, barely, and you could say that was just as gruesome, less so than Icheb. And if Data could choose to kill, that's great. We don't judge him that poorly. And Vera and T, again, that would have been just as gruesome. That would have been a horrifying death. No, that's great. That's a really great point. So our characters are thoroughly infallible. Nope, fallible.
Fallible. Yeah. Nix Productions throws in $5.
Thank you.
Says Star Trek's future didn't sterilize humanity's darker impulses. Merely, they were expected to behave virtuously and shamed when they failed to meet it.
I mean, I don't necessarily agree.
Well, that wasn't the main message. The main message was, yes, we've overcome that, but I kind of do agree a little bit, because we're not going to change that much in like 300 years.
But it depends, because if we have everything we need, a lot of people do bad things. Like, a lot of crime is because they want something they haven't
Absolutely.
got. When you remove all of that,
it's not going to get rid of jealousy. That's not going to get rid of
well, why not?
base.
If we can all have the same things, or you work for them.
Jealousy, if somebody cheats on you with somebody else, that's going to cause still feelings of, oh, it's not like, oh, I'm just going to go replicate myself another version of you that won't cheat.
But all of us have been cheated on in some way or form, and none of us really go around and killing people. I mean, that is a basic thing, and most people get sad or pissed off. They don't turn to violence. That's not the base of that's not going to go into something whatever. War, crime, violence, a lot of stuff is based on lack of resources, lack of whatever. If all that's covered, and people live in a world where everything's provided, I mean, first world countries have a lot less violence than countries where there's a lot more less. Look in the average, like you think to an American suburb, right? Like a picket fence, classic suburb. It's like, I mean, those, especially if it's more middle class, I mean, the natural impulses of violence, negativity are all a little bit less than other places. Because they have more things. It's not, those aren't the impetuses. And if you have hundreds of years of that...
Just more subversive criminal tendencies in that case. It's just
but
different
we're not all born
forms.
bad. We're not all born criminals. I guess I see people as better than you do, but if you remove all that stuff, why would people want to be bad? There's not... Where's the...
You're still going to want somebody that you want to be with, and they don't want to be with you, and you're going to get angry, and it's just there's base instincts that you're not going to get rid of in 300 years. I'm sorry, that's bullshit. Just based on your environment, don't buy it for a second.
Yeah, but you just wouldn't think, oh, I'm going to kill them. Like, you wouldn't.
No,
the impetus to jump to the. I guess I'm just thinking nicer of people.
You're taking it to the extreme of murder, but there's other things you can do based on jealousy.
Well, like what?
Ruin somebody's life, or I don't want to get into it.
No,
honestly.
But then you're talking about such a small percentage as it is now. I mean, yes, okay, 0.1% will do bad things, but if there's 20 billion people living on Earth, you're talking about a few thousand. Okay, well, 99.9% don't. I think you can call that a success. Yeah.
Sure. I kind of disagree, but okay.
No, that's fine. I mean, yeah, we have different perspectives of people. That's absolutely fine.
I just know people are garbage.
Generally. Well, there you go. That's those that look always half empty, half full, isn't it? It's that perspective of life. Which do you see?
Well, it's based on your history and
that's true.
What you've seen. So
yeah.
I just know what people are capable of, and it's shit. Anyway, Zeraxis, though, throws in $5. I find the Mass Effect's comparisons to Picard interesting, as the one thing Mass Effect definitely does is good storytelling, which is the opposite with Trek now. Yeah, I never really played Mass Effect, so I don't know. I hear all these references, and I'm like, eh.
Yeah, good stories, for sure.
Leighton, $2.
Thank you.
Seven lost her real offspring in Voyager. She lived. She lost her real offspring. Who?
I guess one. The Borg won. Because he was made from her nanoprobes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
That would be the one. Yeah, I could buy that.
Close enough.
That was his choice, though, to die.
And it was to save them, and it was lovely. And
yeah. So,
yeah.
A little bit different situation.
And he also wasn't. He's created like 2 days, so she didn't quite have the same attachment as,
Eugene, 250 rubles.
Thank you.
Star Trek characters had their dark moments, but those moments were rare. They had a price. They had consequences.
I think what we've found, though, is that the simple scene of Seven crying or being remorseful for one scene after would be all you need to make that scene work. Because there's going to be redemption later. In some form. That's all you needed. It wasn't a lot, You didn't need much.
Yeah. The anonymous user, $5.
Thank you.
Lon Suitor in Voyager. Yes, I know he was a Betazoid, but still had a dark side. We've seen people today. Yeah, he was also a crazy Betazoid, but
yeah, he was known to be one of the absolute extremes of unstable. I mean, he you know,
he was a serial killer. That yeah,
yeah.
you get in every like group of 5,000 people. It was like one.
But that's the thing about the Federation. There's so many people. It's hard to kind of wrap your head around how many planets we have, how many humans there are now. That's why you can write stories with any sort of character variation in even the Trek world, where someone can be, you know, a black, anti-black, whatever power, a mechanoid robot with, 4 legs. It's like, well, yeah, because there's 180 billion people of humans. I mean, you can make whatever story you want out of them. 'Cause there's so many people. It all breeds into variation or variety. Well, and I mean, you still had the Marquis. I saw mention the Marquis there, but I mean, they were obviously portrayed as sort of villainish, but I mean, they were freedom fighters in their own context. So people, going to really violent means. And what was the guy's name? Edison? What was the guy's name?
Eddington.
Yeah.
Eddington.
Yeah. I mean, he was a really interesting character as they evolved him, because especially by the end, it's like, boy, you can sympathize. But I mean, he was doing really bad things. He was wasn't he going to gas an entire planet and kill everyone? Bioweapon a planet? Wasn't that a story?
Yeah, he was going to bioweapon a planet, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's certainly an example of the bad impulses in society. Mass murderer. But, the story was evolved enough to kind of allow you to see why. And that's important in Trek. Eddington, yeah.
You say a lot.
I do.
No, we do. We both do.
Yeah. I mean, I like to think. I mean, this is all, and I think this is a great discussion. I think we're not necessarily coming to the end of it. We're not coming to an answer, but we're showing that there's been so much dark. It's just you don't know what's over the line until you get there.
Yeah.
And Picard, I think, has put his toe over the line now. And even the people doing it know that. Whereas other shows, it kind of like, it had to be more on the line. That's why, like, TOS is very clever, because there was such a line for the censors. And but the entire Gene had to go past that line. That was his entire spiel. But he had to write it in such a clever underground way. There was the line, he was way past it, but in a very, very smart way. Whereas this show, it's so blunt force trauma in how it's doing, it's kicked the line a mile down kicked the line a bit down the line. Do you think that the DS9 episode, the Siege of AR-11 whatever, was that too dark for Star Trek?
I thought so. I didn't like that episode, honestly.
Do you still not, having seen it after the fact?
Yeah, it's one I will avoid if I can.
Right.
If I'm doing a complete rewatch, I will watch it. I don't want to ever be in that situation. Like that are in the military really enjoy that episode. That have been in that situation. It's something that I just don't like watching. I got a guttural instinct. I just hate that episode. It's got some good points. It's got some good moments in it, obviously, as all episodes tend to do. But the main bulk of it, I could just do without. I don't need it. It's a little too hard hitting, a little bit too real for me. And when I'm watching Star Trek, so I kind of want to be. Star Trek's like an escapism for me. Watch something and enjoy it and get away from my daily life. That's a little too hard hitting for me.
So
that episode,
that was too dark.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no question in mind that was, for you. I mean, that one's brutal. Beyond brutal, really. I've only seen it once, I'll be honest. Like I say, it's not really one you go back and watch for fun. I've seen the clip of them all shooting. I've seen that a few times in montages and such. But yeah, that's just brutally dark, in every context. It was very darkly filmed. Yeah.
Well, Zaraxis, though, $2. He wasn't just going to. He did gas the planet.
Oh well, and then they shot the torpedo out of the air, didn't they? Yeah, it's true. Well,
And Q squared.
He didn't even question it. He just went. Yeah.
Yeah. And Q squared puts in $5. I think it may be revealed that the mind meld from Commodore O gave Agnes actual mental damage, and that is manifesting as noted by EMH and killing Maddox. Yes, I would totally buy that. I love that EMH reference there because he's always popping up. What is your psychiatric emergency? Even when there's a goddamn dying patient on the bed. Oh, what's your medical emergency? So yeah.
Yeah. No, that's yeah, sure.
SWTX Chaser, $5. AR558 showed what happens when you get lost in the darkness and surrender hope.
Yeah, it was a pure World War style story. But In a Pale Moonlight,
Loved it. My favorite episode.
Ah, there you go. Is that too dark? Why is that not too dark? I should say.
Because it's Garrick, the one who's kind of questionable anyway throughout the entire series. That's the one that was responsible for all the behind-the-scenes stuff. Cisco was trying to get the Romulans involved without killing anybody. Garrick knew ahead of time that had to be what happened and took care of it for you off screen and got told about it. And so, no, it wasn't too far. That wasn't too dark at all. That was just the perfect level of right there.
I mean, as soon as Cisco works out, he goes in and punches the guy across the room, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, the hero is not okay with the actions.
Yep.
But at that point, if you come clean, you cause even more harm.
Yeah, but then gets talked to by Garrick saying, you know, this had to be a thing. You know, this is the way it had to play out. And then Cisco kind of like, yeah, I kind of did. So.
Yeah, we just watched that one randomly as well, and it's just, because the writing is so exquisite in that one. It's not the story of should it have been done or not. It's can I live with it?
Yep, and I can live with it.
Because at the end of the day, if you save a trillion lives, because the Dominion once they conquer the Alpha Quadrant, they're going to subjugate. If you could have stopped the Emperor in Star Wars in Episode 3 by destroying the Senate building, right? Well, I mean, you would have killed all the senators, but you would have saved 1 trillion lives for all the conquest after the fact. That's worth it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Eugene, 250 rubles. How dark the sound of her voice is for you? The sound of her voice is not dark at all.
Which one's that?
That's the one where she's been dead for like a couple years, and you're talking to her because of the
I love
atmosphere.
That one. That's.
It's not dark at all, though. I don't see how that would even be considered dark.
Well, it is because she's dead.
Yeah, but
I mean that's the darkness. The whole thing is a we can never have saved her. This is very sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one I think is tremendous, and it's poetic for me rather than dark.
Yeah, it's a fantastic episode.
And it's like really late in the show, isn't it? It's like why do a weird one-off right at the end of the show? It's like damn, that's a good
during
idea.
During the Dominion thing. It's
season 6, episode 25. Wow, at the end. Yeah, the one before the season finale. Yeah. That's a really good one. But it like I said, it's poetic. It's sad. It's not so much dark. It's because you're kind of celebrating her life in a sense throughout it. Yeah. You're getting to know. And it's a morality tale of appreciate people while you've got them almost.
Yeah, and she didn't die alone essentially, so it's a good thing. So
yeah, it's special. That's a genuinely special story. That's a good plot.
It leaves you with a good feeling, even though it's a sad ending. You know what I mean? It's
bittersweet.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's just a good one. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. That's good.
MQTMX guy puts in $5.
Where do these names come from?
I don't know. I'm here for 7. If someone dismembered my child so badly that I was forced to euthanize them, I would not be as kind as 7 by just vaporizing them. Yeah, but I mean, it's the future. We have tech that could have saved him. Just beam him up and put him in stasis. You didn't have to kill him yourself.
If Icheb was literally cut up into pieces, and she finds his face, and his face is dismembered from his body, and he's already dead, that's graphic. He was clearly not hurt enough to be killed. They didn't go far enough in the gore. You watch this and think, why couldn't she save him? There's nothing given in the dialogue that the EMH could certainly save him from Voyager. Not a question in the world. So the scene isn't given that. He's not dismembered so badly. 3 parts removed. 3. That's it. That's the problem. If it was like I've said before, the one that was hanging up. If he was torso-less or his leg was off, like really gruesome. Okay, but he wasn't.
Yeah, I agree. Talma ML puts in $5. I don't like the new show Gloomy Dark and trying to deconstruct Picard. I also noticed that many women in the show seem angry. Poor Picard. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they're all. We're seeing a subset, you know. It's like we watch the episode with Wesley, and he's dealing with new staff recruits. Wow, they're all so professional. Yeah, because they're, you know. Whereas you watch people about dark people, and remember, Raffi's the only person he could turn to because everyone else has, gone against him. You know, he can only go for her because she's the only one to say yes. Yeah. Although Trek Culture asks, what about Tasha Yar's story?
What story?
Well, I mean, Tasha Yar being killed in that way. Was that dark? Was that too dark?
Nope.
Oh.
It was just, It was fine. I don't think it was dark at all.
Really? I mean, we watched it.
It wasn't graphic. It wasn't needless, almost. I think it was
wasn't needless?
done well. No?
It was abrupt and merciless.
Yeah, well, that's nice. I never once would consider that dark. I would never, ever have that on a dark list of Star Trek episodes, ever. I don't even know why that was mentioned. Yeah, so a character died, but I don't care. I don't know if it was just because when I watched it, the age I watched it at, I was just like, I'm fine with it. I don't know, but I would never consider that dark. Sorry.
So I would, because also we get a sense of Deanna being semi-tortured, and the fact that, remember at the end, Picard basically nukes the planet out of revenge. That's kind of dark. Torpedo full spreads the shuttle, and the spread is going to kill, what's his name? I don't know, the creature.
Armis.
I knew you'd know. I knew you'd know. And just to
Oh, they're talking about her backstory, about the rape gangs. Again,
oh God, that's dark.
It's dark, but it's like.
Well, it wasn't highlighted enough. That could have been entire.
Oh, it wasn't highlighted. She didn't mention it enough.
No, right. That's surface level. That's surface level. Like the episode her backstory pays off because we see it through her sister. We see the harsh conditions. That's why that pays off. If we'd seen her see it more, that would have been, whatever. And good luck Trek Culture with the new channel. I watch your things on the Doctor Who reviews.
Oh, I'll have to subscribe. Go subscribe to Trek Culture, guys. I'm going to be there right now.
They're brand new. They do the what culture yay and nays about Doctor Who and Picard.
Ooh.
And they're English. So that's always nice.
I love what culture. I watch their wrestling videos and stuff all the time.
Cool. God. They've got
Trek Culture. That's awesome.
That's so many videos in the last week. Wow.
All right, go subscribe to them, and if you ever get bigger than us, Trek Culture, just tell people to subscribe to Trekyards.
Yeah. Yeah, but good luck. Do cool things.
Yes. I think the show's going to go all Game of Thrones route, gore, violence, incest. What's up with those two Romulan brothers and sisters? That's from Telma ML. Telma ML.
Oh, yes, no,
I think the show's going to go all Game of Thrones. And Trek Culture says, thanks, guys. Been watching you guys for a long time. Well, thank you. I've been watching What Culture for a long time. Yeah. So
English, yay.
Yeah, that's just, you have to put up with that when you watch them, unfortunately. Just kidding.
No, I like the Trek presenter guy. Or I guess he does Doctor Who as well, but I like his vibe. He's good. I think the incest thing, I think they're going to answer that by saying they're like in marriage and make it okay in the end. Or like, You know,
They're not going to mention it. They're not going to do anything with it.
no, it's just going to be one of those like.
It's going to be weird and uncomfortable, so that it's weird and uncomfortable.
It gives because I'm kind of sad, and I think I said this to you before, but that lady, who I keep thinking she was the name.
Rizzo.
Thank you.
Rizzo.
There you go. I liked her as that character. That was more interesting to me than Romulan. You said, "Oh, she's Romulan now." Like that would have been. She was set up well.
Yep.
And then now, and now she's just the mid-level bad guy there to talk to, I guess. Yep. She's not very like she. There's too many threads. Watch the episode. It's so interesting. There's so many threads. God, I should do a re-edit seriously when we get to like the end of the season, and just like restructure the entire thing to focus on certain subplots as you go, and then restructure. Because I can even imagine it working well, saying like, you know, you showed 2 star dates showing these things happen like at different rates. Like 2 weeks earlier, we start a new plot line, but it's in the past, and now definitely add the Verity back in when Picard goes to the planet. You know, he would come in and beam down. That's why Raffi's there. Would be good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Thomas roughly puts in $5. They do have a little more freedom not being on broadcast TV, at least in the U.S. Great discussion as always. Yeah, and I mentioned that earlier, and that's the new kind of thing. You know, have it on a pay service like Netflix or whatever. Less episodes and more focused storytelling, I guess. Not really so episodic. It's all serialized. So, yeah. Eugene, 250 rubles. Yep. What about Tuvix and Similitude? Tuvix, we talked about earlier.
I'm fine with, in the sense of it had to be done. Not fine with it, but it had to be done.
It wasn't an easy decision by any means, and I don't think it's dark per se. Again, it's just kind of like
sad.
Yeah. And same with Similitude, with the Trip clone. It's what needed to be done. Yeah. And it was essentially, even though there are no right and wrong answers in those situations, that being said, it was the right thing to do.
It was logical.
Yeah.
And Similitude's I like Similitude. I think that's a pretty good episode.
Fantastic episode.
But
not dark. I wouldn't call it dark. Dark has a different meaning for me than just being sad or being like, I don't know. The ones people are calling out are not dark to me. I'm sorry.
I mean, would you go as far as say darker than the average? Like on a spectrum?
No, more hard hitting, I'd say. I would never say dark. Dark is not a word I would use to describe these episodes.
Well, can you give us a vague sense of what would be what elements would make it in the dark category? Because that's a really interesting comment, actually.
Equinox from Voyager would I consider dark.
Okay.
I'd have to see a list in front of me.
Yeah.
But I mean, some are just like impactful, some are emotional, some are whatever. But I would never use the word dark. So for Picard, I'd use dark.
Okay. If I said to you, and this is more visual, but see if everyone understands. If you're watching an episode and you feel this dark cloud over it, this feels dark. Whereas, like Tasha Yar, it was just a death. There was
Siege of AR, or whatever. I consider a dark episode because I don't want to watch it.
Yeah. But if you think that visual, like a dark cloud over the entire episode, it's now dark. Whereas, like Tasha Yar was just like, that was a single moment of, oh, she died. But the episode's not a dark cloud of, ah. Does that make sense as a visual? Yeah. Was Year of Hell, Equinox, it was framed in this dark structure, which I think in the Pale Moonlight's interesting because it's not framed in the same dark structure. For me anyway, it's not, wouldn't fit on that category exactly.
What about Into Darkness, as Trent Bennett points out?
No, I wouldn't.
I think he was being facetious, but
I wouldn't because that dark.
I would consider it stupid.
That was a weird laugh. I would consider characters acting darkly.
Okay, what about Chain of Command Part 2? Is that a dark episode or not? I would say yes.
Yes.
That's the one where Picard is being tortured, and I cannot stand Part 2 of that two-parter because I have a real issue with torture, and that one I would consider dark. Yes, 100%.
It was also really well written. That does help.
Oh, it is, absolutely.
Yeah,
I just and that last scene where Picard's like, I actually almost said, that really bugs me to no end that such a strong character can be like brought to that.
Well, have you
So I
seen
have
Star Trek
issues with.
Picard, Stuart?
Oh no, I haven't heard of this. What is it?
That's the Picard we're getting. The Picard from the episode.
Yeah. Leighton puts in $5. There's been a dark cloud over Star Trek for a while, at least since 2005. I'd say 2009, but
No, Enterprise season 3. I mean, that's definitely a dark season, but it's dark cloud that evolves, that forms over it. That's why it works so well, because you feel every single inch of that appear. It's so which is why season 4, like the augment, like some of that stuff's kind of dark. Small side thing, when you see the Vulcans go kind of mean and let's do a shooting war, would you consider that sort of dark in comparison? In season 4, in season 4, when the Vulcans are kind of like the one leader wants to do really bad things and there's a big shooting war and Enterprise gets damaged and like you get the sense of is that dark?
no.
Okay. No, yeah.
Nobody understands me. It's fine. I don't even understand me.
Because that's kind of politically dark with what you could do.
Yeah, it's just dark. It's not invoked when these episodes.
The Pajem, the Siege of Pajem, that one where they kind of like.
No, it's not dark at all.
I don't know.
That's an awesome episode.
What? I'm trying to think.
I don't know.
I want to go into Voyager and see if I can find some dark episodes.
Eugene, 250 rubles. Okay, is there an episode which you consider dark, but I would like to rewatch it? That I consider dark that I would like to rewatch?
Oh,
yeah, Equinox.
Yeah.
Yeah. AR 115 or whatever the hell that episode is. Yeah. Again, I try to not watch that if I can, but if I'm watching the whole series through, I never skip episodes just because I don't like them or because whatever. So I will watch it. But if it's on TV, I'll be like, I can change the channel. Trekyards, would you consider the Voyager episode Memorial to be dark?
I know what it's meant to be. Oh, where they're all fighting. Yeah, where they find the monument and they're all getting psychically given the memories of this war and they're all living the war.
That's...
I would say yes, but I haven't seen it in a while.
I would also say yes, but...
Because the characters feel it.
But you're kind of removed from it in a way.
Yes, absolutely.
So, yes, it is dark, but not as dark as it could be.
It's a psychological dark rather than a physical, emotional, in the sense that it's not really them. It's. But yeah, and that's also a good storyline. I like that one as a concept.
And Zachary, I mean, the whole episode isn't dark for me. It's just what they had to do. But the Starfleet characters, Equinox.
Yeah.
What the Starfleet characters had to do in order to get through the times they were going through, I consider dark. That they went that far down.
And it's the fact that Voyager and Janeway goes to his level almost. That's where the fact that our heroes go dark. That's where that is. You know.
And Jeff Jacobs says the clown one from Voyager is as dark as hell. I disagree. The clown one from Voyager is retarded.
I love it.
It is stupid. I hate that episode.
That one gets me. I get that one. I like that. I think a lot of it, you could re-edit that to be a real horror episode. I don't think it quite matches it. Oh, how about the one in Voyager with the floating bugs that kind of infect everyone and it's like
the macro organism?
Yeah.
That's not dark.
No, it's too sci-fi horror. It's too... Yeah. What about Threshold?
That's dark for a different reason. The last half of it's dark, I guess.
That's a dark type of Trek writing, is what you mean.
Yeah, exactly. First half of the episode's great, though.
Well, it's at least average, with a good idea. Yeah. Having a look. I would definitely consider a dark one. The one with the crazy hologram. They find the ship, and he's all crazy. He's murdered his crew, and he like mops up blood. That I would absolutely consider dark. Mm-hmm. And I don't like that one. I like it I don't like watching that one personally. The actor kind of gets to me a little bit.
Yeah.
That one's good.
Yeah, sometimes it's an actor or something in one that you just
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't like it. But
Yeah.
Ryan Howe puts in $5 Canadian. What if Picard himself is a metaphor for Trek fans that were concerned about dark path Trek seems to be taking?
They're not that smart.
I was going to just say that. Yeah.
Can I throw you a really big curveball?
Okay.
And I'm sure I think I know what you're gonna say, but just as a little curveball, the episode in Voyager where the EMH makes his own family and she dies, is that dark?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's really
one,
that's emotional. That one's emotional.
the one where the Doctor gets possessed and is evil. I forget how he gets controlled, but I can't remember the name of the episode. But when you see the Doctor from Voyager being evil, he's got the different contacts. He's
Oh, you mean
that one.
you mean the fake future one, Warship Voyager?
No, not that one. No, one where he's like actively like trying to kill the crew. He tries to kill B'Elanna. I can't remember the name of the episode now. Just saw the last part of it the other day.
Guys, well, why am I googling? You guys help us out with that.
He reprogrammed himself. The Doctor being controlled as part of Equinox. It's not that one, I don't think.
No, that he's not quite.
Darkling, that might be it.
Darkling. Well, that name does not ring a bell.
No, it wasn't Living Witness.
Yeah.
Foster.
The Doctor adopts some impressive character traits from historical figures, but adopts bad traits as well. And he
Yes,
right.
That's the one. Him evil in that one is scary. Seeing him as evil is scary to me. So,
I'm not gonna commit to that being dark, but just.
Okay.
But I do think the family one is just so sad that it gets a different level where it's so emotionally impactful that it's just like, oh, it's suddenly like dark.
Yeah. Not a band account, $2. At the end, Janeway should kiss Seven and redeem her. You wish.
Oh dear. Living Witness is actually an interesting one, which is the fake future one because it's about history being rewritten, and at the end is dark.
But it's not dark though. It's entertaining. It's the Mirror Universe Voyager episode we never got, and the closest we'll get to Mirror Universe Voyager. I think it's just fun to see the different takes on historical events, what people think, and then what actually happened. Anytime they do those courtroom things where it's like you hear the story from one character's perspective and then another character's.
Well,
those
Riker,
are fun.
Yeah.
I really love those ones. Yeah, the Riker one.
But I more mean the end when this historical thing, like the war has come back, Civil War, and they trash the museum, and he's like, we could all be killed. I think that's quite dark. The ending, not the actual. Ironically, not generally murdering somebody in front of him because it's not real. Like there's such a distinction between real and not real there. But guys, we've gone quite a long time over time here. This is a lot of fun. But let's do some quick fire. If you have any suggestions, briefly, quick fire super chat. And then we'll. But yeah, last few minutes.
Eugene, 100 rubles, DS9 duet.
Google. I'm messing with.
That's the one with the war crime guy, the Kira and.
No.
It's a great episode, but I wouldn't call it dark.
I wouldn't either. I mean, it's dark themes, but it's so it never, for me, it doesn't raise to that level. It's very objective. There's right and there's wrong, and no, I wouldn't consider that dark actually. Although I don't like Kira at all, really, so that doesn't help.
I don't either. I can't stand her character.
Yeah, it's a little bit, Oh, Riker trapped in the insane asylum.
I hate that one. It's just stupid, beyond stupid. It's not dark. It's a little bit kind of unnerving, but it's not dark. I just hate that episode so much.
Yeah. And Brent Justice comments back on me for duet. Dark is when a character does something mostly morally wrong and feels that's the right thing to do, even though it isn't. Like genuinely believes it's not wrong.
Mm.
Yeah. And Trent Culture is back, even though it's now 28 past 0. Cleon bastards! You killed my son!
You Ugly bastard.
That's a dark movie. If you like, especially the last, you kill the Enterprise, you kill. I mean, Kirk. I mean, that was a survival thing. And also Kirk does. Yes, he offers Krug his hand in "I'll save you," but he also kicks him into death. I mean, that movie pushes the darkness a level. I mean, and the fact that this is a subtle thing, but the fact that it's darker movie because they literally have a close up for Krug's dog dying.
Sad.
But it's also dark. Like that's like they killed the dog. They killed the dog. The movies are darker in general though. Although weirdly, Stuart, and see what you think. Except the Troy rape bit, I would not consider Nemesis dark. Even though it's really trying hard to be. Do you know what I mean?
I agree. Yep,
Yeah.
It's very much trying hard to be, and it's not. And even that's Troy thing is not. It's just stop with that.
Yeah, that shouldn't have been a plot point.
That stupid trope.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'd say First Contact's much darker than Nemesis. At least the half that's the middle half with the Borg. Obviously, a certain section, but.
That's another Picard dark moment though, where you like. This was Ensign Lynch. Well, who cares?
But we've railed against that for a long time.
Yeah. Will Singleton, $2. Y'all made my 2-hour drive home better. Keep it up. Thank you very much, Will. Glad we could help somebody out.
And Stuart, I don't know if you agree, but I think this chat has really kind of evolved into a very like universal discussion thing. I know at the start you were kind of nervous about it being very, divisive. I think we've kind of.
I wasn't nervous. What I said to you was, "Are you prepared for the shit show?" Because I saw the comments all day on Facebook, so I wasn't nervous. I was just like, I don't want to do this. But yeah, it turned out very good.
Because we love discussions. That's the point. Give us reasons, yay or nay, and we'll discuss them. I really think, it's interesting. And yes, Star Trek can be very dark. We've come up with a lot of great examples here. But Picard puts them all into a blender, and then we get a full cup of it. And we're given that's the cup.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, First Contact the start is very dark. I literally had nightmares when I first saw it. I've very had a few nightmares in my life for some reason. That got me. That first scene is dark. And then the tension of walking through the Borg infected thing and that's dark. But there's so much good stuff. I mean, there's a pee joke about not understanding what peeing is. So it's so balanced, and Troy gets drunk and there's an entire really good scene about that,
Andrew says, thanks for the great shit show. It could have been a lot worse. It could have been. It could have absolutely been.
Yeah. So I don't think, is it too dark? I don't know.
We don't, that's the answer. We don't know yet. We got to see how the season plays out and the wrap up, and then we'll know. We'll be able to take a better look at this. This might be worth revisiting at the end, obviously. But as of right now, it seems to be too dark. But it could be rectified, I think.
I mean, if 7 is in 6 episodes like her IMDb implies, which has been proven, like, it's wrong every time it's right until the season's finished, then we might get her as, if she does a lot of good things after this point. It's just the way they handled it. And actually, someone posted tonight. Oh, sorry.
Or if she sacrifices herself due to guilt. Yeah, well, Anyway, continue.
Someone posted a comment saying, I have no idea to verify it, but it was a written little comment, saying that both Chabon and Jerry Ryan didn't want it to go as dark as it was. They fought against it until the very last minute, then they were overruled and had to do it. Which I could see. I could see it being very much like they just decided, like Kurtzman said, you know what, let's go with the X-rated cut, or they took out the scene of remorse, Yeah, but to be fair, this I mean, it really is just about these two scenes, killing people. That's if Jurati later on breaks down, from now on she's a wreck because she killed him, then that darkness is being redeemed slowly. Agree?
Yes.
And if 7, when she comes back, maybe even she admits to what she did to Picard, and they have a drink together, and he judges her a bit, but then they kind of come to a, you know, would that be, she has another stiff drink, she sort of regrets it, but not really. Would that be enough to kind of raise it back up again?
Yeah, there's got to be some redemption of the characters, unfortunately. Yeah. Whether they'll do it, I don't know, but looking forward to it.
And next week, I was not looking forward to last week at all. But I was thoroughly impressed. So I'm yay. And this next one, stuff is going to happen. I mean, probably just one single storyline of Sarge.
Yeah, and that's tomorrow, guys. If you want to join us for that,
God, it is, isn't
it? Yeah. Fleet Paw Swiftback, $2. The board gave me nightmares in Q Who. You're probably at that young age though, so yeah. DV, $2. Enterprise damage anyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, Enterprise just does the darkness so well. Like they've talked about how Archer comes back and has remorse for episodes. I mean, that's just brilliant.
And Talma ML puts in $5. The overall tone of Picard is dark, while the old Trek had self-contained episodes. Some were funny, some more dramatic. Yeah, and that's the episodic nature. Like you could go dramatic one week, and the next week go silly, and then kind of toe the line, be kind of middle of the road for a few episodes, and then go dark again. This one, not so much.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And Trek Culture, I noticed this as well in a great thing. He says, hope for each of scenes, because the Twitter photos that the actor posted after it came out didn't match the episode. He actually had his cortical, his signifying mark, and you wouldn't tend to put the makeup on to then remove it. You wouldn't need to do that. You would need to, so implying there are more scenes because he was in fully functional, which would be great. I mean, I guess retroactively rebuild that, or maybe he comes to her in dreams would be interesting. Or I don't know how that would work exactly.
Maybe too much.
Well, we did call out we want flashbacks, but Picard's been odd with flashbacks. They've been sort of story, but they haven't gone as far as they should have done. They're kind of like a bit, and yet they're also like very long. I mean, 7 minutes of a 40-minute episode is too long for a one-tone flashback. It's too much.
Yeah,
burning too much time. Speaking of burning too much time, Stuart,
it's time to wrap it up, guys. One more super chat though. Eugene, 100 rubles. Discovery Star Trek Picard opening credits. Number of producers gives me nightmares. Yes. Should have more than like 3 producers or 5 producers on the project. I forget what it is, but they have like 14.
It's very bizarre.
Too many cooks in the kitchen, guys.
And hopefully we can hope that the morality tale of Picard will bring them into a positive future. Because what better way to show that we don't like Brexit and Trump than to go beyond that into positivity. Hopefully they built the arc so that we start dark. This is what Anthony Rapp said about the show in season 1. You have to start dark to see the contrast to light. Didn't quite do it right, but I understand the principle. Or start do a season of dark to let the season 2 be brighter.
Well, Brent Justice says, Trekyards, these live chats are fun. I usually watch post-live, but I think I'll make it for more live ones. Please do. We love having the input. So
Please do.
Thank you. And guys, go subscribe to Brent Justice. Looks like he's got some good videos. And if you go subscribe and they're not good, it's not my fault because I haven't watched them yet. But the thumbnails and the titles look good, so give him a chance. Ozzy Mandero says, so is the Commander going to be on Friday?
No.
So we're not doing our review of Picard.
There is no Friday.
There is no Friday, only Zool. So there will be no Friday live.
That's funny. I like that.
There will be no Friday live. It'll be on Monday instead. We'll do the full review and breakdown. So.
And one quick side thing. Trek Culture says, think I'm going to order all them flashbacks when the series is done. And just wanted to ask the account, which of the personalities are you? I'm on your main What Culture account. Which of the 6 people is commenting, just for context, if you're happy to say. But yes, I'm at a convention doing a Babylon 5 event over the weekend. I'm doing green screen for them, as well as doing interviews. Hopefully, they're not quite set in stone, but hopefully interviews for the channel. Yay, Babylon 5. That's going to really drain my time for the next few weeks, but like all my other time, what time I have. Although Picard's obviously doing less than we'd like to do for videos, so I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, Monday, I'm sure we'll do a big one. Wednesday is normal for Stuart. Saturday, Sunday will still have videos coming out. I'm crossing fingers.
Thursday will be fine for me. I'll also be doing the Thursday first reaction review at 10:30, so 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. So
and just, you know,
it's Chris from Trek Culture.
Okay, it's not one of the 6 people on the header, so I have to look into that. But hi, Chris. But yeah, tune in on Monday. Hopefully, it's still as relevant on Monday. I'll still watch it and think about it before then, and we'll still have graphics. And like I said, I'll try. I think we might have a spoiler-free review this week, just because I have very few hours on Friday. So I might do the full review and then make Saturday and Sunday's videos, so that's kind of because that's the important ones. And then we do the rest when we come back as normal on Monday. Yeah, you guys shouldn't see much of a difference, just no Friday. But make sure to tune in next week. Editor. Okay. Well, good job. Good editing. It's good.
Edit in Trekyards things.
Yes, I make it go. I'm also an editor. God, how many videos have we done, Stuart? Gosh.
More than 3.
I think it's like, what, 1,000, isn't it, something like that?
Oh, we're almost at 2,000, I think.
Yeah, because you had quite a lot before that.
Yeah.
You had like 180, something like
that? Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, that was great, guys. You this is why we love interaction, because you guys kept us going to both of our, like, oh my god, we're still going, but you guys kept us going. That's you guys.
This was a great one. This was very interactive. I loved it.
And great super chats. I mean, you guys do support the channel, and thanks so much. And I'm not even gonna ask for the last super chat, you guys done so well. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow for predictions. We're back again. We'll talk about that Borg at the end. Oh my god. So until then, he is the not at all dark Captain Foley.
But I can be dark. And he is the awesome, amazing, wonderful Commander Cockings. Now I'm going to go stab him while he sleeps.
Okay.
That's dark.
Well, it's okay. I'm Tasha Yar. You don't care. Because that's a reference to earlier. And it's been. Alright. Bye, Stuart. See you all tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.